one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Today we're going to be talking about what is actually making news as we speak. Couple things that are in the news as we're speaking right now. One being President Biden. This may mean nothing to you, but to a lot of folks, this is exceptionally valuable to them. President Biden has just forgiven, if I get my numbers correct, $7.7 billion in student loan debt. Over 160 million borrowers, folks who are indebted with student loans will benefit from this. So over 160,000 borrowers will benefit from President Biden forgiving as much as $7.7 billion in student loan debt. So we're going to talk about that. Also, in Global Post Podcast, good to see you on YouTube. Also, we're going to be talking about Nikki Haley has just endorsed President Trump. Is it meaningless? Does this not mean anything at all? I want to ask it to you this, folks. Ask it to you this way, folks. Do you have a different view of a politician when they have been incredibly critical of someone and then they endorse them? We're bringing up Nikki Haley because she said a bunch of awful things about President Trump, such as he is not fit to be president. She stated he cannot be trusted with our military assets. Now she is endorsing President Trump. So I want to ask you folks, does it mean anything when a politician endorses someone after saying some really awful things about them? Now, this doesn't just happen on the right, even though under Trump it's happening a lot on the right. But remember Hillary Clinton? She was the originator of the birther issue on Obama, and then she later endorsed Obama. Kamala Harris suggested that Biden was a racist, comparing her own upbringing during the debate and hammered Biden over the head with it. She obviously now serves as his vice president. But what I want to ask you folks is, does it make a difference to you, or does it change your view of someone when they tell you to your face, this person is a danger to this country? And Nikki Haley said it all about President Trump. And then a few months later, they're endorsing that person for president. Keep in mind, in addition to Nikki Haley suggesting that Trump will be awful for this country, Trump permanently barred her from MAGA. Also, President Trump has the moniker bird brain for Nikki Haley, yet she is out here endorsing President Trump. I'm assuming he didn't apologize or change his tune on any of that. She didn't have to endorse or denounce Trump at all. She could have done exactly what both Mike Pence and Chris Christie have done, just faded off into the distance. Why she would come forward and endorse President Trump, we'll leave that to us during our discussion. But I want to ask you folks, does that make a difference when a politician says awful things about a person and then all of a sudden they're endorsing them for president? So we'll start the program off. You know how it is run. It is MAGA friendly. Always is, always has been, always will be MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are always welcome on the program as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Understand, if you disagree with somebody in the comment section, or if you disagree with the host, nobody gives a damn. It's all about free speech here. So looking in the comments, real quick here, it says they are Republican. Now, and I see someone mentioned Ted Cruz, DJ Elizabeth. That is another good one to point out. President Trump suggesting that Melania Trump looks better than Ted Cruz's wife, tweeting that out, a picture of his wife next to Ted Cruz's wife, asking which one would you choose. Also suggesting that Ted Cruz's dad was involved in the Kennedy assassination. completely false, by the way, a complete lie. And of course, Ted Cruz is going around the country endorsing President Trump. Does that make you view Ted Cruz as someone who is reliable, or is he too someone who will change with the wind? We'll ask you guys. We'll see what you guys have to say. Anyhow, going to the bar, or better, going to the comment section. I saw something I wanted to talk about. Okay, I disagree with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, all right, fair enough. Let me go to the box. American Papa Tom. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Does Nikki Haley or politicians like her changing her tune, does that mean anything? What say you, American?
Yeah, it don't mean a darn thing to me. Her endorsement won't mean nothing to me.
What do you think? What do you think of Nikki Haley?
Nikki Haley was doing okay at the beginning, and of course, I hate all the negative, rhetoric about everything, and that's why I like your live. I really do, because pretty much you're an even Steven,
Thank you. So when you say you hate the rhetoric, though, give me an example of what you mean by that.
Well, I see, the folks out here that are against Joe Biden, and I'm not against him, but then I am. But then I'm not going to sit here and just make my whole day about it, I want to hear I want to hear everybody's point of view and stay neutral and just take my vote to the ballot box.
So in other words, you don't want to have Biden derangement syndrome.
No, I just rather have somebody else in charge.
Right. What did you think of Trump from 16 to 20?
Actually, I thought he was doing okay until that China virus hit. I think we were in the right direction and everything was going pretty darn good. Of course, we had the indictments and stuff, or what do you call it, impeachments, hitting him up, and I thought, well, here it comes,
let's talk about that. When you say the impeachments hitting him up, obviously he was impeached twice. One of them being for what took place on January 6th. Do you believe he had nothing to do with that, and it's just a witch hunt type of an impeachment? Do you see him as having nothing to do with January 6th?
I think that it was all political. It wasn't based off of any type of truth, really. And I'm related to 3 presidents of the United States. Been in this country. Our family started this country, so to have our family fight in every single war since the beginning of this country. We take it kind of personal when you start and take out folks that don't need to be taken out,
Well, let me ask you that. Now, you said that January 6th impeachment was not necessarily based on any kind of truth. It was a witch hunt. Trump on January 6th suggested he won the 2020 election by a landslide. Do you believe that's true?
I don't know if it was a landslide, but I think he won it. I mean, we're now years down the road, we're finding out that there's a whole bunch of votes that weren't counted, and and stuff that he found out in Georgia, which is his next trial coming up, if it ever goes that way. But
but here's the thing, though. I think particularly for those who who see the election as being stolen, or as you talk about, fraudulent votes. I think we're only seeing, if you support Trump, for instance, you see the improprieties of that election that were committed by Democrats. But when information is shown on the Republican side, I think it kind of gets ignored. You do understand a lot of folks are pleading guilty for trying to commit crimes in favor of the Republicans in that election.
Yeah, well, that's their problem, not mine. I think, like I said, I try to stay neutral and vote for the best candidate that I believe best for the job.
But you do understand that means they were cheating, though. That is Republicans that were cheating on behalf of Trump.
Well, everybody's cheating. That's the whole problem.
Yeah, but that's the point. How do you know Trump won by a landslide if we also know Republicans are pleading guilty to trying to cheat?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still stuck on the fence on that one, Tim. I really am.
But you do believe Trump won. That's what I'm saying is, are you ignoring the fact that a lot of Republicans are admitting they cheated too?
Yeah, that's, like I said, it's been 3 years, right? Well, over 3 years. And I truly, truly believe that the truth will finally come out. Look how long it took to find out about JFK, right? It's going to take 50 years from now. It's going to be my great-grandchildren that's going to find the truth.
But here's one of the things I will say in regards to that. Most of the alleged election fraud to steal the election from Trump happened while he was in the White House. He was president. He had the ability to declassify everything. So that's where I'm kind of lost at, is that you say it'll take a long time, like, the Kennedy assassination or Martin Luther King assassination, something else that is still classified. But if this happened to Trump, why didn't he release all the information?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I truly, something's haywire with this entire process, and the only way to do this is voter ID and a fingerprint. If you truly want to know, that's the way I got a violation, Tim. We'll let you go, man.
All right, appreciate you coming through. Thank you. And I don't, sometimes folks get to hating on the program, and that happens. By the way, tap the screen. Get your boy on up to about 20,000. You know how the program is ran. It is, always will be MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. What did we find out about JFK, says Lisa? I don't think we found out anything new, but unless you believe that President Trump suggesting that Ted Cruz's dad killed JFK. Maybe we found that out. And by the way, President Trump did say that Ted Cruz's dad has something to do with the Kennedy assassination. I will say this in regards to President Trump. One huge advantage he has over President Biden is that he is allowed to say pretty wild things and not be held to the same account as Biden. If Biden says something wild, whether it's defund the police or, something that you cannot even interpret, folks pointed out, Trump gets a pass. Well, he's just joking. He didn't mean it that way. You're taking. So I do give a shout out to President Trump because he absolutely has the advantage in terms. I mean, like I pointed out in the program the other day, he was offering police immunity, which should be equivalent to saying you want to defund the police. Immunity in a society where the people are allegedly free, and for the most part, it kind of came and went. We're still talking about defund the police. Trump offering to get a police immunity has kind of came and went. So he certainly gets the benefit there. Looking in the comments, though, I have been showing ID to vote in South Carolina since I was able to vote. I'm 53 now. DJ Rob, listen, at the end of the day, I'm not going to pretend like there's a legitimate excuse for why a full-grown adult should not have an ID. I strongly support requiring voters to have an ID. I don't buy into the notion that folks are so poor they can't afford an ID. Maybe there are some folks like that, but they're so minuscule in terms of percentage. I mean, how much does it cost to get a state ID? A driver's license is different because you got to have a damn car, so you clearly have money. But how much does it really cost to get a state ID? World champ, thank you for the money gun. Absolutely a pleasure. Appreciate that. By the way, tap the screen, folks. Get your guy on up to 20,000. Smaller crowd here today. But nevertheless, tap the screen, get the likes up. In regards to the ID, yeah, I'm a huge fan of requiring an ID. However, here's where I disagree with the right, at least. I don't believe forcing people to show up at a polling place is absolutely necessary. That part I disagree with. I believe it could be done online fairly secure. In other words, we have both fingerprint and facial recognition software that is so accurate, they use it to catch criminals and terrorists. If you commit a crime and refuse to give your ID or tell the cops who you are, they trust what comes back on your fingerprint scan. So if the cops can use it, you can have a fingerprint scanner at home. You can have facial recognition software at home where you got to stare into a device that plugs into your laptop or computer, and there you go. I believe even in terms of an ID, I believe it is far easier to create a fraudulent or fake ID than it is to defeat a facial recognition program or fingerprint scanner. I think there's some pretty low-level people that have created fake IDs. When you're talking about beating or defeating a facial recognition program, it requires somebody that is far more savvy. I just believe the ID thing, even though I am a fan of carrying an ID, I don't believe that is the most secure way of doing it. Just put the person's face in the system. They show up to a polling place. They look into a scanner. It looks at their face. That's better than the ID. Put their fingerprint on a fingerprint scanner. That's better than an ID. Nevertheless, continue, and it doesn't cost a penny to have that. It doesn't cost any money for the voter to look into a facial recognition program or use their fingerprint. It's actually better. And here's what we get with all of this stuff. Paul Howard, how much will it cost to fingerprint 5 billion people? How much will it cost to print out an ID for them? This is where we have the issue. How much does it really cost for you to tap on a screen, a glass or whatever it is, and record your fingerprint and store it in the system? I'm talking probably less than 10 cents per person. Doesn't cost much of anything. I guarantee the damn ID costs more than to scan somebody's fingerprint. This is a more secure idea, but folks come up with reasons to not let it go by. Going back to the box, we'll continue on asking that question. And by the way, how do you guys feel about Biden forgiving $7.7 billion in student loan debt, 160,000 borrowers? Is that not something good for America? Remember, we're going to take care of Americans first. Wolf, good afternoon. What say you?
How are you?
I'm doing good. Biden forgiving 7.7 in student loan debt. Is that not a good thing?
No, it's not a good thing. It'd be good if he would have given those who didn't take out any loans or anything. Why don't we just give them, what was it, 35,000 per person or something like that?
So are we forgiving student loan debt, or are we just helping what do you want to, you're suggesting that everybody gets student loan debt forgiveness? I don't get what you're saying.
Even if they didn't give everybody student loan forgiveness, that would be fair. Even if they didn't go to college, if they were smarter, even if they paid their way through, give them back their money. I mean, it's not fair. It's just not fair what you're doing. I mean, on top of it's unconstitutional, but it's up to them. I mean, if that's the way you're going to do it, but all you're doing is buying votes. They know that.
Why is it not? Wait. Why is it not fair? I don't get your point on that.
Well, because not everybody paid for school like that. Not everybody took out loans. Not everybody got underwater basket weaving 3 times in a row so that they could keep staying in school and not get jobs. And then they're the ones that chose their what do you call it? Their major and stuff like that. It's not my fault they didn't pick the right major, that they didn't realize marine biologists in the middle of Texas was not going to work. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, that's their responsibility.
Yeah, but what happened to, make America great, take care of Americans first? This is something that would overwhelmingly help only Americans. Why not?
No, but that's no. That wouldn't. That's not true. It's not going to help a lot of America. It's going to help people that don't want to take responsibility for paying their stuff. They took the loans. The problem is, see,
are they American? Are they American though?
Yeah.
So it's primarily helping out Americans.
Get free. But they're not going to get that. That's not fair. They don't deserve it. No one forced them to take those loans. They took those loans. The thing is, it's not my fault you picked a school with a $300 book that I've never seen a book worth $300. But the thing is they're going at it the wrong way. Why don't you just go after the schools?
Okay. Well, let me say this, and I see in the comments, Cal too is saying the same thing I was about to ask you. When you say fair, I don't think this is designed to be fair. It's designed to help people out who are in need. I mean, if we come up with a program, hang on. If we come up with a program to help out the homeless, should we also extend it to people who have homes to be fair?
No.
It's not fair then, right?
Well, yeah, but you're talking services. You're not talking money. The thing is, they're forgiving these. It's like if I go and I get a loan, right? I go to the bank, I get a loan, I start a business, it doesn't work because of me. I just blow it. I don't know what I'm doing. So can I go and get reimbursed for that?
You do realize you do realize we did bail out the banks. Should people who don't own banks say it's unfair?
Well, no, and I wasn't for bailing out the banks. I was for them failing.
Your party
I
did
wasn't
though.
For that.
Your party did that.
No, but who bailed out the banks?
Your party.
Who bailed out the banks? Democrats and Republicans bailed out banks. Who bailed out the airlines? Democrats and Republicans. Who bailed out all these guys? Remember when they showed up in jets and everything? Can we have some money? And they had all these, they came in jet planes and then they were talking shit. And then the next thing, they came like in smaller jets. Like that was even better.
But you see how people suggest that we care about the rich and not the poor. We bailed out the rich. Most of the folks who have these student loan debts don't have a lot of money. And we're telling them, kick rocks.
But see, that's what I mean. But see, Handsome, that's what I mean. The people did not say, oh my God, we have to take care of the banks. Oh my God, even the rich people did not say, we need to take care of the banks. We need to bail out the auto industry. We need to bail out the airlines. Who is the one that decided that? Lobbyists and politicians. Those are the ones that gain money from that. But Wolf,
it doesn't matter who decided it. It happened. We looked out for the rich, and now we're telling people like you and me, well, you need to do what you got to do to get out of it. Some people will never get out of student loan debt. You're okay because they made a bad decision, as you say. Maybe they took up oceanography in Texas, as you pointed out.
Exactly. But the thing is, why don't they go? No, the thing is, why don't we look for ways to refinance that debt and not get them buried in interest?
But you are okay with you are okay with some Americans that may have made a bad decision being straddled with debt for the rest of their lives. You are okay with that.
Yeah. I mean that's the American thing. You do that. If I straddle myself in debt, which I have before, and I mean I've taken out those ridiculous payday loans and stuff like that a bunch of years ago and stuff like that, and I had to pay it back, and I paid a bunch of interest back, and I felt like an idiot, and I did it anyway. But that's my responsibility. I didn't say, hey, government, do me a favor, hook me up. Yeah. You can't do that.
I don't see the part about taking care of Americans in this. Like you said, if you made a mistake...
I can't see it either. I don't see that either. I don't see you taking care of Americans like that either.
I don't see it anywhere on the right. I pretty much, as you're pointing out, be responsible for yourself. That's not taking care of Americans. That's telling them to pull themselves up.
But you got to make sure you don't... See, everybody's always against predatory lending and predatory this and predatory that. Look, college loans are predatory, and people don't say anything about it because they're in bed with the politicians.
No,
that's the thing. I mean, come on, look at Handsome. Come on, how much is a college education worth? 30 grand, maybe.
Hold on.
30,
hold on.
Let
me say this. Okay. The reason people you're saying that these loans are predatory and things like that. The reason that's allowed to happen is because your side doesn't believe in using big government to tell businesses what to do. If big government can
then guess what? If you hate my side so much, if students hate my side so much, don't listen to us and don't take those loans.
And don't vote for you.
Or don't do what don't take the loan.
And don't vote for you.
Go to community college.
Or they could vote the opposite, right?
And then what? Get a handout and have inflation? Because someone's paying for it just because they're a bunch of fucking Deta babies, which is Deta means a bottle, a baby bottle. Everybody that cried, boom, there's your bottle. There's your bottle. There's your bottle. Come on, that's too. I mean, you're going crazy. The thing is, we can't sustain this bullshit.
Here's what I don't get. Anytime something is presented to look out for the lower level people in this country, the response is always, we can't afford it. Right now, it's student loan debt. It used to be universal health care. You name the program that is helping out the downtrodden, and somebody is always talking about we can't afford it in the richest country on earth. How is that?
God damn it, handsome. These people who took out these loans are not downtrodden. Stop it.
They are because of the loan.
They went to school. No, they went to school. They took their tests. They passed their shit. They couldn't get a job. They're the ones that were bitching, marching, and shit like that. Pay your shit. Don't complain to me. You're the one that wanted to be a doctor, a nurse,
what if they
underwater
can't?
basket weaver. You wanted to do this. No one told you to be that. You wanted to be it. You knew the risk of taking these loans. Now, if you want someone to help you with these loans, refinance the amount at a different place with a lower interest rate, or talk to your congressman and senator and see what they can do to fix that. But they're not downtrodden. You can't compare them to homeless people.
What they're going to do, you talk to your congressmen or senators, tell you vote blue. But what are they going to do? What do you suggest someone does if they have student loans that they'll never be to pay off? Maybe they got a master's or a PhD in marine biology and they live in Texas. What do you suggest they do?
Rent a U-Haul and move to the ocean, or they pay their shit, or there's nothing they can do. It's going to come out of it one way or another. They're going to doctor checks. They're going to get them just like child support and shit, man. They're going to come after them one way or another. The problem is we need to figure out a way to get away from that or refinance it for something. You're not
going to refinance all these loans away.
Why not?
Because
why
like
can't
I
the
said,
government help that?
If somebody is out here, let's say they got a liberal arts degree or something where they owe 80, 90 grand and they're working somewhere making 30,000 a year while your side is arguing against the minimum wage increase as well, they're never going to pay that money, no matter how many times they refinance. And some of these folks owe money that will never be paid off. They're literally going to be making payments for the rest of their lives. They're not going to get out of it.
Well, they chose that path.
Wow.
They chose it. Like I said, I'm willing to help.
How are you helping?
The government. I just told you. I'm willing to help them and fight for the fact that they should be able to refinance this amount and cancel the interest or whatever, do something. But I'm not willing to pay somebody that made the decision to go to school on a bullshit humanities whatever because they wanted to be able so freaking woke and such an ally to everybody. They didn't learn shit that was worth it to get a job or a profession. And then they're bitching that, oh, well, we want to get paid for that. Come on, get out of here.
All right, Wolf, you kind of remind me of Cobra Kai. No mercy, sweep the leg. Appreciate you coming on as always, Wolf. Anytime.
Hey, I am a Gen Xer. Bye-bye.
All right. Wow. Now, and by the way, my last caller, that's a fairly common sentiment. What he was saying is how a lot of folks feel. Like, you took out a loan at the age of 18, at 20, whatever the case may be. It was a dumb loan or a useless degree. I don't give a damn if you're 50, 60, or 70 years of age. You did that way back when. You should be held accountable. No mercy is what I look at it like. But looking in the comments, though, if he had a student loan, he would feel different about the situation. I tend to agree with this. Certainly if he wasn't making a lot of money. Now, if he had a student loan in a field that was paying paying an ample salary maybe, but if he had because it's not always about a student getting a loan for a career that's useless. Maybe automation or maybe something else wiped out the career you were seeking. It ain't always a student made a bad idea. Sometimes other things happen. I mean, when I go back to a day and age when typing was still something people went to school for. I'm an older guy. I mean, when I was in high school, people were still taking typing class. I mean, that stuff costs money. I mean, people have learned things that technology also has basically made to be useless, but no mercy. That's what I'm hearing. No mercy at all. Somebody said home economics. Yeah. Looking in the comments, I went to a college that later I found out was uncredited. Should I have to pay? Gang. My last caller, probably so. What is the other school I'm thinking of? ITT what is it called? ITT Tech. That school closed down. I cannot think of what those letters stand for, but ITT Tech was a school that a lot of people went to, and it has now closed down. So it can happen where you can go to a now. I believe they were accredited, but it can happen for places that are not. And my guess is my last caller would make you pay that anyway. But Fannie Mae does step in and pay for your student loans. Well, the only reason that's happening is because of the left. I think my last caller kind of describes it right pretty well. You're going to pay. If you take it out, you pay it in full. I don't care what the circumstances are that happen in your life. No mercy. Going back to the box. Wow, that was interesting. We'll go to the one and only Moo, the Tuxedo Cat. Moo, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hey, man, I'm so sorry you got treated like that on that last live, man. That was terrible, dude. And I was going to come up there to fuck them up for you, but I had to go back to work, man. I'm so sorry.
You're talking about you're talking about today or yesterday?
Yesterday, okay. Man. That was they were so mean to you, man. I'm so sorry.
Listen, I enjoy going to MAGA-oriented lives, and unfortunately, when somebody who has a name like mine with liberal, I go to something that's Trump related, they often trash me. I mean, I know a lot of MAGA get trashed on liberal lives as well, but yeah.
It was good to see you in a different element, though. I will say that. I agree with Wolf, man. We need to give everybody money. I think we do. We need universal basic income. I think not only should we forgive all student loan debt and make all colleges paid for by tax dollars, you need to be giving people universal basic income because, like you just said a minute ago, automation is going to become more and more prevalent as time goes on. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse, and people's labor is going to be needed less and less. So I agree with Wolf in the aspect that we need to give everybody money, and it's not just fair to forgive student loan debt. You need to start giving supplemental income to the poorest people on top of universal basic income.
So you're talking like Andrew Yang was promoting.
Yeah, but even more so in depth, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm talking thousands of dollars for the middle class here instead of giving, stipends to oil companies, stipends to churches, supplemental income to all the rich people, corporations. Instead, we need to channel that back into the middle class. And what you're going to find with MAGA is just like you always hear, right? Fuck those kids. And they think they all have humanity degrees, right? They think they're all liberals. That's what that means, right? So their mentality is anybody who went to college is better than me. There's some liberal that I hate, right? Even though they might be a doctor, they might be a scientist.
So you think that MAGA has it in, or has has an issue with people who went to college?
Yeah, there's no way Wolf went to college, man. Listen to the way he speaks. That man is not college educated, my dude. And he's a good argument for free public education.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So what I would say is we need to start getting people more educated in this country, because if we had an educated population, you wouldn't even have the presidential candidates that you have right now, right? People would be much smarter than to vote for two men who are literally 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on a banana peel, right? Both of them. And they would be smart enough to realize that it's the corporations that are really, they're the ones raping you, honestly, right? So,
But wait, let me ask you, in regards to the universal income you mentioned, Amy in the comments asked a legitimate question. Where is the money for all this going to come from?
You print it. Yo, you will print $14 billion for Israel on the fly. You'll print billions and billions of dollars for Ukraine on the fly. You'll send them all kinds of spare weapons that you could have sold for income to fund that. What's the deal? Why do we only ask this question when it's for things for the middle class, right? Because you don't actually want to do things for the middle class. You're okay with the government printing. And this is why I talk about Republicans, right? What would they do with that money if we weren't giving it to Ukraine? What would they do with that money if we weren't giving it to Israel? What would we do with all the money that we're giving to the oil companies and stipends for corporations? What would you guys do with it? Well, you wouldn't do anything with it. You would give it to rich people here instead of maybe rich people abroad. But you guys would still give it to rich people because you're like, fuck the middle class, right? And you see it's prevalent with every MAGA person you put on here. America first, America first. Well, how about we do universal basic income? No, I don't want to give money to welfare queens, man. Fuck that. I'm not paying for welfare queens. How about we do Medicare for all? We get everybody medical care. No, fuck that, man. You'll have death panels. Well, we're creating death panels by banning abortion anyway, and we're keeping databases on your pregnancy so that we can keep track of you. But yeah, fuck all that, man. So anytime you deal with a Republican, you are talking about the party for the rich, man. And understand the Democrats are taking shit tons of corporate money too. But right now there are over 100 progressives that we've gotten into Congress that are not taking corporate donations. And there is no one on the Republican side who does not take corporate money. No one.
Well, Trump claims he didn't take a salary.
Okay, I didn't say he didn't take a salary. I said he takes money from... So Adelson, right? Miriam Adelson's husband was his biggest donator, right? He gave him like $100 million some dollars, and that's why he gave her the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And she's going to fund him again, which is why I always say Trump is not going to change his mind on Israel. He will double down on Israel. He will do whatever they tell him to do because they are one of his largest donors.
Wow. And I agree with you that for folks who are pro-Palestine, the Free Palestine folks, they're not going to get their wish if Trump gets reelected. I mean, he's not going to step up and tell Israel to back down on the Palestinians. So that part I do agree with. But the print money, the comment section is going apeshit to you suggesting print the money.
You're okay with it. You're okay with giving oil corporations have been around for fucking a century now. Why are we still giving them subsidies? That's for startups. Why are we still giving them subsidies?
Yeah.
Because they bribe our politicians. That's why we're giving them subsidies. So you guys don't want to do anything with all this money that we're fucking wasting on rich people because you guys are cucks for rich people, right? You'll print all the money in the world to fund the Elon Musks, to fund the Bill Gates, to fund Steve Jobs, to fund Apple, whatever, to fund Mark Zuckerberg. You'll print all the money in the fucking world for these guys, but you won't do shit for the middle class. You're proving it right now. Yes, print money and give it to the middle class. Absolutely, yes.
All right, Moo. I don't know if I disagree with it. I don't know. The print money thing is kind of scary, but I don't know.
That's what's happening for the rich people. So if you're okay with it for rich people, just say that you're okay. I'm okay with printing money, massive amounts of money and giving it to rich people and driving up inflation because they sit on that fucking money and put it in their bank accounts overseas and they don't spend it. And I don't want to give it to middle class people who would spend the money and put it back into the economy and actually drive inflation down and drive consumer confidence up. I don't want to do that because I'm for the rich people. Just say that shit. That's what you are then.
Do you believe wealthy folks or business owners that invent and create products would still do it if they receive less money?
Yeah, because people who invented the most important shit in the world were all poor. Thomas Edison wasn't rich. The guy who invented air conditioning wasn't rich. Albert Einstein wasn't rich. All of these motherfuckers start in their garage, man. And it's not money that motivates them. Humans are naturally motivated to do things, right? The first fucking caveman made fire because he was cold, dude. He didn't do it for $1, okay? Humans innovate because it's natural to humans to innovate. We've been doing it all through time before there was a fucking money system.
Damn, that was a good answer. All right, Boo. Appreciate it. I'm getting cold. Time to invent some fire. Good shit. Good shit today, man. Thank you. Man. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Moo Move always comes hard. Makes a few enemies in the comments, makes a few friends. Look, at the end of the day, the left side of me does believe that we do favor the wealthy in this country more than we do the poor. I mean, like for instance, the student loan, what my other caller was saying about self-reliance, self-responsibility. Well, the more you have, the more you can tailor the system to your benefit. And that's kind of what the wealthy has done in this country. And we're telling the poor where you need to, I mean, I don't see where telling folks we're not going to forgive your loans, and at the same time, we're not going to fight on your behalf for wage increases. I don't see how that's looking out for folks at the bottom. We're simultaneously telling them you should be responsible for the loans you took out, pay all that shit back. But we're also not going to do anything for your requests that wages go up. And make no mistake about it, a minimum wage increase would mean something for us all because that's the foundation. So I do see some issues with that. That's the left of me. Looking in the comments, if it wasn't for the poor, the wealthy, if it wasn't for the poor, the wealthy would be wealthy. I don't quite get what you're saying there. I will never pay back my loan, says Rob Canfield. My guess is, before I go back to the box, and appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen, it's helped the numbers out. This is an uncensored program. We don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary, so understand we all support First Amendment free speech rights here. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program as well. We go left to Bernie Sanders to him having a dinner with QAnon. We allow everybody to speak. Looking in the comments real quick, opened up the pipeline. The Constitution was written by the rich, never to let the poor rise above them. Well, it was designed for only white property owners. That's who could vote. So yeah, it was designed to only look out for those, who had something. It was against the have-nots. It really was. Look at how long minimum wage has stayed the same. And that's a major issue. Listen, if we're going to tell folks who are straddled with student loans or who don't have health care, you need to figure out a way to get by. We're not going to help you out. Be responsible for yourself. But we're going to allow business owners who claim they can't afford to insure their employees or they can't give a minimum wage for 20 years. We were okay with giving them that. That's the equivalent of telling somebody at the bottom, pay your own student loans back. If you can't afford to pay a decent minimum wage, then you can't afford to be a business owner. In my humble opinion, and many of you folks might disagree and you're entitled to do so, stated in the comments, I believe we have been harder on the folks at the bottom than we are on the folks at the top. We do listen to the pleas for mercy from small business owners. We bring them up all the time, but if you do that, it'll hurt small business owners. If you do this, the folks at the bottom that cry out, well, you're in a situation. Like my last caller said, you went and took up marine biology and you live in Texas. You made a dumb mistake. Well, what about the small business owner who opened up a pancake shop right next to IHOP? Maybe he made a dumb mistake. We don't view them the same way. We give them mercy. But the people at the bottom, we give them a no mercy approach. Plenty of small business owners have opened up businesses that they never should have opened up, did not have the proper financing, you name it. And we've came up with ways to show mercy for them. So I do believe we do look out more for the people at the top. Looking in the comments, there is an ocean in Texas, right? Laugh out loud. Can you name the ocean? That's in Texas. I get you talking about the Gulf of Mexico, but that ain't the way to correct that, all right? You could have said large body of water. Minimum wage was set originally to be a living wage. Was it really? I didn't know that. I opened up a contracting business when I was 18 in New York. Okay, fair enough. All right, going back to the box. Real quick, everyone at the bottom isn't there because they are victims. Life choices should be a factor. Well, the way our system is designed, it is harder. It's becoming harder and harder to get out of the bottom. And it's easier for things to snowball if you are at the top. The rules are made in favor of the haves, and they are against the have-nots. Certainly when we're talking about minimum wage, for instance. If you got a lot of people at the bottom, and we're not talking about just burger flippers. We're talking about people making $15 an hour or less, and it could be a host of industries paying that. And they're not just all high school kids. You got a lot of Americans who can say, I haven't had a raise in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. That doesn't happen at the top. They're not only getting raises, they're getting bonuses and all kinds of other shit. Our system is designed for the haves and not the have-nots. Going back to the box, though, we'll keep it going with Gen X reality check. All right. Let's see what kind of reality check we're going to be dealing with. Gen X, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing very good. So what do you think? Biden forgiving $7.7 billion in student loan debt. Did he make a bad move?
No, he didn't. Absolutely not.
Well, my last caller suggested.
So,
go ahead.
I know. I found him so lovely, and he did make some good points. So really enjoyed that. But
well, I mean, my caller before last is who I was meaning to point out.
Oh, yeah, he had some strong opinions on that, and I completely disagree. Because when you know what's going on with these predatory school loans that you don't know about, is you never get out from under them. You can pull $40,000 in school loans, pay $100,000 over 15, 20 years, and still have $40,000 worth of school loans. Why is that? Because the high interest rate that they were charging. Their government is also taking the interest from these school loans and funding things, social programs, Social Security. They're using it as a buffer, so there is no incentive for them to put you in a position to pay those off.
Wow.
And they follow you into death.
Yeah. Well, you heard my last caller suggest if it means you have to pay student loans until the day you die, he was okay with that.
No, it is not okay. That is not how we get America ahead. That is not how we enrich our country.
What about the whole?
That is not how we take care of our people, and he can just fuck all the way off, in my opinion.
What about the whole self-responsibility argument, though? You made a bad decision?
Yeah, absolutely. I pulled school loans and I paid them off, but you know what that took? It took years of working to get myself to a point where I could throw $2,000 or $3,000 a month at them.
Yeah. It kind of happened to me.
We're living in a society where over half of the people in our country cannot afford a $500 emergency. Yeah. How are they supposed to throw $2,000, $3,000 a month at school loans?
So then how do you respond to those who would ask, where's the money to forget these loans? Where's that money going to come from?
It's going to come from the taxpayer. Sorry, it is. But here's the thing. They've paid it back twice over already in 15 to 20 years. And interest alone, let the principal go. They've already paid.
So based on what you're saying and your belief that this is good for America.
It's pretty much self-funded.
Okay, well, based on what you're saying and how this is good for America, why do you believe the right has such a different view? They believe what you're saying is complete garbage. Why do you think that is?
I am fiscally conservative, socially liberal, and there just comes a point where nobody's looking at the facts behind this. They're emotionally charged. And I'm sick of it from both sides. Yeah. Left, right, I don't care. Everything is political. Well, it's always going to be political, but it's identity politics. It's the rich versus the poor. It's all of this bullshit.
Well, but the odd thing is...
Why are these school loans predatory? Well, I just told you why they're predatory. They also bundle them up and sell them to investors.
Yeah. So they profit. Yeah. They're profiting off the misery.
They're profiting off of the misery. There is no incentive for them to remove this.
Wow.
And just paying the school loans off isn't sufficient enough.
So
it's just not sufficient enough. They need to reform that entire system. So you don't continue to have one generation after another fall to the same predatory practices of our own government.
But how do you reform the system? I mean, are you suggesting maybe 2 years of college for free or something like that?
Nothing is for free. I mean, this is America. It's capitalism. Nothing's for free. I snuck into college basically by way of community college, getting my general education done, and then I went into the university. Okay. There's a much slower path. You don't have to go through everything. Heck, you don't even need a college degree unless you're planning on being a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer. Most of what I've done in my career does not require my degrees.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and I got 3 of them, and it's the same. I mean, I got a bit,
exactly.
Yeah. But I will say this.
Even bother?
But I will say this. My first degree I got all the way back in '92 as an electronics technician. During that time, because this is what I mean when I say sometimes technology actually makes your degree useless. When I got my degree, this is back. They had the 8088 chips in computers. A lot of folks don't know what that is, but we were actually unsoldering and putting components in various electronic devices. I mean, nowadays you just swap a board. Nobody unsolders a resistor or a capacitor or an IC anymore. That's how far back it goes. So that degree nowadays, that knowledge is meaningless. I mean, so
it's antiquated.
Yeah, and that happens. A lot of folks, and sometimes it happens quicker than, sooner than later for some degrees.
Correct. If I had to go back and do it all over again, I would be a carpenter.
Yeah, I see a lot of folks bringing up trades in the comments, but here's the issue.
Well, and that's the challenge is when I was young, women were not allowed in the trades.
But here's the problem, and a lot of folks, particularly on the right, often recommend trades. Here's the issue with that is that the trades get paid quite a bit because a lot of the trades are union, but the right is also anti-union. So if everybody jumped into the trades, my guess is with a surplus of folks in the trades now and no unions, which is what the right tends to favor, the pay for those jobs would go down.
I am definitely in favor of unions. Definitely in favor, especially with the greed of corporate. I mean, it's all over social media, how people are treated, disposability, toxicity, so on and so forth. No, unions are needed.
Yeah.
To keep things in check. What I don't like is that they use union dues to fund political things. I think that should be disallowed.
Well, to some degree, you really can't. Let's say, for instance, you're in a union and they want to fund Biden versus, say, Trump. I mean, some of Biden's policies, whereas Trump is about breaking up unions. So if you're in a union, you would want some of that union dues money going to Biden, because at the end of the day, you're actually putting money into a candidate that is for your longevity. The right is anti-union.
I am anti-funding politicians, period.
Okay.
Here is something that, possible solution to that. Let's say I pay my union dues. I get to say, here are my union dues. They are not allowed to be used for the PAC. Yeah. And you have to provide me with evidence of that. That at least gives people the freedom to be them and stand behind what they support in their personal lives without having it thrust upon them.
I hear what you're saying, but the issue I have is it's just like people say, well, I don't want my taxes going to abortion or to this or that. If everybody gets to control where their money goes, nothing is going to get done, because everybody's going to say, I don't want my money going to this. At the end of the day, you have to elect somebody and you just trust that they do the right thing. But if everybody can voice where they don't want their money going, I don't think anything would be properly funded.
Okay, I might be kind of hitting a hornet's nest here, but union dues in many states are optional.
Yeah.
Taxes really aren't.
That is true.
So you want me to pay union dues? That's great. I'll do that. Don't put them, no PAC. It can't go in the PAC.
Well, I will say this. Now, if you're in a union, If you're in
When I
a
pay my
union,
taxes, I got no say.
all right, well, if you're in a union where your dues are optional, that's probably going to be a weak union, because who's going to voluntarily pay dues if they don't have to, and they can still enjoy all the benefits that the union is fighting for? Union dues should never be optional.
That is that's one of the hot topics here right now, and at least where I'm at in Washington State.
Yeah, I mean, if the union dues are optional, then the employee that's not paying union dues should not be able to enjoy any of the benefits that come out of negotiating salaries and going on strike. You're not paying anything to help this group out, yet anything they win, you get to benefit from it.
And that is why the union needs to do what the union does and come to the negotiation table.
Yeah, but to
there
me,
is a median here. There's a place in the middle to meet. It has to come from both sides.
Yeah, the only reason you would have union dues optional and make that a law is because you're trying to weaken the unions. That's why they pass laws like that. They're trying to weaken the unions. But I do got to move it on, Gen X. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. You too. And looking in the comments, do corporations check with all their stockholders to see if it's okay to use their money for politics? No, I don't believe they do. But if they do the wrong thing, that's when they try to, push for people to get off the board and things like that. No, but I don't believe they do. But I could be wrong on that. UAW, United Auto Workers, is corrupted. Listen, let me just say this. I totally believe there are a host of unions that are corrupt. I'm not going to pretend like unions are not corrupt. However, unions are fighting against corporate corruption. So if you're an employee and you say, well, I don't want this union because the union is corrupt, you really think your employer is not? You really think your employer has your best interest at heart? The person that views you as labor, something they want to pay as low as they can for, if not get rid of you for a robot. So even though unions are corrupt, they're on your side. They don't do everything right, I get it. But the unions present a push-pull against the corporation. If you do not have a union, the corporations can push without anybody pulling. If the corporations do something wrong to you, your only options are quit or come out of your own pocket and hire an attorney, which most people can't. Now, I have worked in union environments. I had a union steward and all of that. And you can sense the confidence from employees in a union shop versus one that is not union. Because the employees know what the company can and cannot get away with. And they'll tell that to the boss's face. If the boss is doing something that goes against the contract, you can see the confidence in the employees. But if there is no union, this is when you start seeing employees snitching on each other and office snitches, because they don't have any type of protection. The boss can, all of these what do they call them, at will or at right to work states, no protection at all. They can fire you for any damn. But I don't get, before I go back to the box, why the hell would regular people, regular average working people, vote for right to work laws? You already had that. Why would you get rid of your union in favor of a law that allows your employer to fire you without cause? You already had the right to leave anytime you want. All you did was embolden or embrazen or empower your employer. And there are a ton of states that did that. And those are the states the employees generally make less. All of that shit down south, that's where people get paid less. Going to the box, I just don't understand. And by the way, thank you for the super chat. The God Hand Dimension stated, read the Constitution in whole right now. What part of the Constitution are we failing to acknowledge? State that in the comments. Read the Constitution in whole. So what's being missed? And thank you for the compliment there. Frog on a log says, nice scream. By the way, folks, this is an uncensored broadcast. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So if you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any concern of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you for your opinion, because you have a right to have one. Damn if anybody agrees with it or not. You have a right to have an opinion. You always will be given that right here. If you enjoy that type of dialogue, feel free to follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. 1,300 hours, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. is when we're here. Stick the ruler. Good afternoon, Stick. Welcome to the program. Talking about Biden forgiving $7.7 billion in student loans. Is that a bad thing, Stick?
Oh no, that's a great thing for the common man to have in America, a debt-free mind, at least with the school that you used to go to, whether you graduated or you didn't graduate. It's a sign of relief.
Why are there so many people against it? Why do you think there's so many folks, particularly on the right, that is against this?
Well, there was a lot of people on the right against the border bill, and it was something that was great for the country.
Yeah.
Let them tell it. You know, especially the Republicans that actually doctored the bill, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, what it just boils down to is when Biden does something that is great for everybody, like not just a tax break for the rich, and our tax break is ending next year. So,
yeah. But how do you respond? How do you respond to someone like Seeker of Balance says, I'm not paying for somebody else's debt? In other words, you took out that loan, damn it, you pay it back.
Well, we already did that before, and he had no choice. The powers that be said we're going to bail out the auto industry. The powers that be said that they were going to help the housing industry, and they did. And they took taxpayer money to do it. Yeah. So why not take that same money? You're saying we're sending money to Ukraine. We could be using that money here. Okay, so we'll pay off some of the American debt here. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. Those same people, whether they work part-time jobs, whether they work full-time jobs, 9 times out of 10, they were taxpayers as well. And that was just, they were just getting their money back in the sense of debt forgiveness. That's how I look at it.
So no responsibility, though, at all for the person that took out a useless degree loan or dropped out, you know, before getting it.
Well, see, those are not the rule. Those are kind of like exceptions. Like, you know that's going to happen. You know that you file taxes every year, but you know also that people do tax fraud every year as well.
Yeah.
So they get away with it. That it happens. But in this case, that what we got going on with the student loan debt, at least you know it's not going across seas. It's not going anywhere. It's going straight to the American public. And the people who are actually doing bad and can't afford things. You know, MAGA's always talking about the stuff they can't afford. They can't afford eggs. They can't afford gas. They can't afford toilet paper. I mean, 4 years ago, what were we at with toilet paper? So, yeah. I mean,
but is it a money grab? By the way, DJ Julio, thank you for the ad mustache. In the comments on YouTube, because I'm asking you, is it a money grab? Because Midwest Fishing says $100. He says he wants reparations next. Are folks like yourself just trying to get free shit?
No, I don't think it's about free stuff. It could be a little bit of he wants people to vote for him, of course, but at the same time, bigger than that, nobody has voted for him yet.
Yeah.
So he's already putting it out there to help you, the person that's struggling, the person that has a lot of student loan debt, and maybe you didn't get a good job, because right now the best thing to be right now, as far as to me, if you want to just get out there and not have to go to college, be a truck driver. Right now, they're hiring left and right for Class A CDL drivers. Yeah. And if you don't want to do that, then find something like barber school. But the whole point I'm trying to make is you're gonna have to either pay for that school out of pocket, or you're gonna have to get a student loan. So just for those people who are on that list, in the sense, because it was only so many people he could do, right?
Right.
But those people got the help that they needed. So hopefully going forward, that will easing their pockets in the sense of the bills that they already have to pay, the inflation that's already went up. And people just need to understand that inflation happens because people are spending. So where they're talking
they would say that inflation happens because people vote for Biden. You don't think Biden has anything to do with it?
Nah, I always say the president before, when his actual policies start to kick in, then it's always if it's not 2 terms, it's always the next president. So he's the next president in the sense of Joe Biden. He felt it 2 years into his presidency, what Donald Trump had going on before him. Just like 2 years into Donald Trump's presidency, he felt the wave of Barack Obama's economy. So you just don't get into office and then the economy's just great. That's not the way it goes.
So in other words, Trump's economy was Obama.
Yeah, pretty much. Nothing he did really did anything for all Americans. The only thing he did was give a temporary tax break to the common man and or the middle class. And then, our tax breaks are gone. And they still have theirs. They're down to 5%, something like that. You know what I mean? So all that money that we would have been getting, we're not getting it. So we're going into the deficit, we're going back, inflation's going up. And this is all because of the orange man. So,
let me ask you this way.
Want inflation to keep going up and up? He's the only one that can afford. He says he's a billionaire, so he's the only one that can afford this without it even, hurting him. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I think you might be getting them back. A lot of folks at the polls are saying that if we had an election today, Trump would win. You think he's going to be our next president?
Oh, I don't think Trump would win. I believe Trump would lose horribly.
Really?
Nikki Haley is trying to get her voters. Yeah, she's trying to get her voters to vote for him, but they're so sick. I don't even know if they're going to listen to her because now she looks like a turncoat. She looks like a person.
I don't think. Nikki Haley is in no man's land, in my opinion, because Trump she turned and started supporting Trump. Trump hasn't started supporting her. She's still bird brain. So I don't know who supports Nikki Haley at this point.
So that's my point. Remember, and I think it was Indiana? She got 20% of the vote in the primaries because they still got the primaries.
Because there's still there's an anti-Trump sentiment out there.
Exactly, and he's the front runner, but there's still an anti-Trump sentiment. So with that being said, right there, that's evidence that Trump is not going to win the 2024 election going into 2025. He's just not.
Will he accept it? If he does not win, do you think he would accept that?
No. Handsome, you know better.
I gotta ask.
You gotta ask, and I get it, playing devil's advocate. But at the end of the day, no. He's already telling you he's not going to accept it. Tim Kuhn is sorry about the Tim thing, but Tim Kuhn Scott is already telling you they're not going to accept it. So if Tim Kuhn ain't going to accept it, then Donald Trump ain't, because that's the word he's putting out. Nobody is willing to say they'll accept if he loses. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Particularly on the right, they're not even asking the left if they'll accept if they lose. So that may be a bit unfair because they're not asking liberals, will you accept if you lose to Trump? They're not asking them that. They're only asking it to folks on the right.
Well, we already did accept. See, they know that we're ready for a fair and honest election. We're willing to understand that Hillary Clinton and my boy Al Gore, they just lost. Whether the Republicans had a brother that was running Florida at the time and put his brother
Al Gore recently still says he was cheated, but he just don't go to the level of Trump. But he still says he got cheated. He hasn't accepted it either.
Yeah, and I get that. But the one thing he didn't do was send a whole bunch of goons to Florida to try to overturn the election. And then on top of that, when it was time for George W. Bush to get in office, what he didn't do was send another group of people down there to take down the flag and throw feces all over the place and chase
That
officers.
was Antifa. That wasn't MAGA. That was Antifa.
Well, and this is my thing. If it was Antifa, why the hell was everybody getting on TV talking about there's a sea of red, white, and blue patriots for Trump?
Yeah.
If you got your people talking about there's a sea of red, white, and blue patriots for Trump, then that means that was Trump's people. That was MAGA.
I just had to throw that out. All right. And I don't believe it. I don't believe it's Antifa. But
I didn't. This is the thing. They will throw you off. They will tell you it wasn't us. It was somebody else. And at the same time say, those people that wasn't us, we want to get them out of jail and they're hostages.
All right, Stick. I got to move it on.
Make it make sense.
I can't.
Just make it make sense.
I can't. Thanks for coming through. As Shaggy would say, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Guest is guessing. Now, looking in the comments real quick, left or right should not accept election results. So many problems. I don't think it does anybody any good in this country to not accept the election results. Now, President Trump is a bit further with that. I mean, because Hillary Clinton suggested that Trump took the election from her with the assistance of the Russians, and Al Gore, basically suggested that he beat George W. Bush. But I think Trump has taken the election denying to a whole new level. I mean, we're 4 years out almost, and he's still talking about what happened back then. Because folks will say when you're always talking about Trump, you have Trump derangement syndrome. If that fits that definition, then Trump has 2020 election derangement syndrome, because he's still talking about it. I mean, he's still holding rallies now, like within a week, still talking about he won the 2020 election. Even if he did at this point, it's a useless thing to bring up. You can't go back. You can't turn back time, no matter how many times you listen to a Cher album. You can't turn back time. So real quick, for my YouTubers, why, how, I do not know. But on TikTok, they took down the live. I don't know. We get some folks who come in and complain. I'll go on the backup page after I put in an appeal. But for some reason, the censorship on TikTok is insane. I make the solemn promise to you folks that I never censor anyone. But I can't always control what the apps do. The TikTok gods is what I call them. Also, we do have folks that watch the program, left and right, that do not like certain opinions. And I think that if you complain enough, sometimes the TikTok will do that on an abundance of caution. So we did put in an appeal, and I'm going to go ahead and restart the live on the backup page. And we'll continue on in a second here. So bear with me as I switch over to the backup page and continue the program going. But looking in the comments on YouTube, does that say hang on a second, we're getting a lot going. Does that say Don Kip says, breaking news, NASA just announced they invented time travel? Yeah, good luck with that one. Who would want to get in that? You ever see the movie The Fly, where the guy gets in the machine and all of a sudden would you be willing to let your body be broken down and implemented into a different time? You may never come back, or you may never survive it. So that's interesting. You didn't even say anything controversial, stupid trolls. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Took too many laps. That's probably what it is. What happened when the election is stolen again, says Race. Well, let me just say this. While TikTok is coming up, if you believe the 2020 election was stolen, I've said this before, but I'll say it again for the audience that may have changed. And by the way, folks, certainly smash that like button on YouTube. I think the 3 dots in the top of your screen. Get your boy up to about 30 likes. You guys can make that happen while TikTok is resetting. Here's my opinion. If you believe the 2020 election was stolen by the liberals, by the Biden administration, who was not even in office, by the way. If Biden can steal the election while Trump is actively sitting in the White House and actively in control of the Senate, control of the FBI. Trump would be the one to appoint the director of the FBI, the one to appoint the director of the DOJ. If, while Trump is in control of all of these organizations, Biden, who was a citizen at that time, if he could steal the 2020 election, what the hell would make you think in 2024 Trump has even a sliver of a chance of winning? I mean, if you believe it was stolen in 2020 while Trump was in charge of everything, and Trump stating he won by a landslide, meaning that a ton of people voted for Trump, and even though he was president, in control of the Senate, in control of the FBI, in control of the DOJ, the guy with dementia could steal the election from him. With all of that power and all of the votes Trump received in 2020, why the hell would you think he could win in 2024? What do you think? We're just going to vote more this time? The right has little to no power right now. They're not in control of the Senate, and they are barely in control of Congress. Barely. By a few seats. The right controls Congress by so few seats, they didn't even want to let go of George Santos because it put them at a greater disadvantage. So I'm just giving it to you logically. Like I said, let's say that the election was indeed stolen by the liberals in 2020. Why on earth would you think Trump has a chance in 2024? If you can vote Trump in office this November, that's about all the evidence you could ever need to show that 2020 wasn't stolen. Because if Biden took the election in 2020, he damn sure would do it again, with Trump promising to go after everybody. Some of this don't make sense. Some of it absolutely does not make sense, that the liberals can steal the election while Trump is in control of everything. But now when Trump is in control of nothing, we can just vote him back in office. And that actually makes sense to people. Biden just going to stand back this time and let people just vote around him, when he actually was able to steal the election from under Trump. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it a second time. Huh? People believe that. Looking at the comments, what do fake ballots have to do with that? I don't know where to go with that. But all I'm just simply saying is, if Biden and the liberals can orchestrate a plan to steal the election when they're just citizens and Trump is president, it should be pretty damn easy to do it now when Trump is a citizen and they're actually in the White House. Winston Churchill called fascism the cure for communism. Well, Winston Churchill's also long deceased. Biden never stole an election, and I think that is probably obvious based on the mindset. It makes no sense to me. But let me go back to the box. Now that we got the program running on the backup page, we'll go to Bamboo Brews. We were talking about Biden forgiving $7.7 billion in student loan debt. Bamboo, good afternoon.
Tim, it's good to see you, brother. I've been trying to get on here for some time, boy, and I tell you, those MAGA maniacs, they keep you tied up, brother.
Well, in honor of Hulk Hogan, what you gonna do when my MAGA maniacs get their hands on you? But what do you think? $7.7 billion in student loan debt. Good to have you on, by the way. You think it's a good idea?
You know, yes, I do think it's a good idea. And here's the thing. The country, we're supposed to be for us. You know, we're supposed to help us.
America first.
If the common man needs some help, give him some help. But here's the issue I have with MAGA people. Why is it okay for us to subsidize the NFL, $1 billion industry? Why is it okay for us to subsidize the auto industry, another $1 trillion industry, the oil industry? Why is it okay for us to allow them to accept welfare, but when the common man who's out here working his ass off, trying to keep this country moving forward, when he needs a hand up, why is it always, you go pull yourself up by your bootstraps and don't ask your country for nothing? You know, my father served in World War II, an African-American man. He did an extraordinary job there. And when he came home, he couldn't even get the benefits that everyone else that did not look like him got. Home, housing.
You make a good point. You make a good point, because I used to talk. I remember talking to my grandfather a lot. May he rest his soul. He passed in '99, and I was a younger man back then, and I wasn't into politics, because now that I've gotten older, I wish I could go back and ask him, because he fought in World War II as well. What the hell were you fighting for? Because, like, you're right. You're fighting a war for a country that when you come home, they don't even, some of the countries you're fighting against would treat you better than the country you're fighting for. I don't understand it. I wish I could have went back and asked him that. Like, what were you fighting for? You weren't fighting for freedom.
Some of the men even said that the French treated them better than their own countrymen. But here's my point, Tim. The thing is this, man. For years and years and years, they pushed go through high school. During my father's time, it was get through high school and then go out and become hardworking people.
Right.
The industrial, build the country. After that era left, they said go through high school and then go to college. Now we need you to be more smarter. We need to keep up with the Chinese and the other countries who are using greater levels of education. And here's the thing they didn't warn you about. They didn't warn us about, because I have student loan debt. My wife has student loan debt. Is that there's some people hanging outside the school. They like pedophiles with candy outside the kids' school. And they're predatory lenders. And they're saying, okay, you want to go to college? Okay, we'll help you get through college, but we're not going to tell you how we're gonna keep pushing the goalposts, for you to pay this debt off. And then the schools say, okay, well, if the predatory lenders are going to give all this money, then we're going to hike up the price of the tuition. And it became unchecked. Nobody checked them on it. And if it goes unchecked, then they keep doing it.
So
now we're paying the price.
So what's the solution? Big government, or should we give advanced education for free? I mean, how do you make this happen? Because the right, particularly on the right, they're not a fan of big government telling corporations what to do. How can this be solved without actually imposing laws on the higher education industry?
That's the thing. Somebody needs to protect the little man. Somebody needs to say, hey, listen, I'm not going to let you, because it's the little man. There are millions of us and the 1% of the rich people. We keep the economy going. We make this country work. We get up and go to the 9 to 5 every morning. We're the ones that drive this country. We're the ones who make this country what it is. It's the common man. And until the common man come to a place where we stop attacking each other, which is by design. When we stop attacking each other and realize who our real enemy is, that it's not black and white, that it's that 1% who want to keep their 1% in control.
And make everybody else fight. I want to ask you this. I want to ask you this question. This is coming out of YouTube, and I want you to give me your opinion. You can take it any way you want. By the way, folks, tap the screen. We're on the backup page. Get the likes up to about 15,000. We only got 400 of you in here, but we had issues on the main page. So I would ask you folks, show the program some love. Let your thumbs not be lazy on this uncensored format as usual. On YouTube, Ramon George states, it's interesting that the statement, make America great again, has been villainized. I want to ask you that, Bamboo. What do the statement on the hat, what does the statement, in your opinion, make America great, what does that mean to you?
I don't, a lot of people, they get into the semantics of this statement. Make America great.
Right.
America is a great country. We have great freedoms. We have great opportunities. We have great people. But we don't always have the greatest delivery of what we think is best for everyone.
True.
What we do is we have great delivery on what we think is best for us as individuals. And the haves will always make statements or position themselves to make sure that they are always the haves. And they will always make sure that we are the have-nots. So does that make us a great people? If we can't all be equal, if we can't all, I'm not saying that I got to have $1 million too, but don't make it so hard for me to get $1 million. Don't tax the hell out of me when I only make a handful of dollars and you make a boatload of dollars and you don't see half the resistance that I see. That's the issue. I get up and I go to work every day, and my little $5, you tax the hell out of my $5, and I'm trying to feed a family. I'm trying to stimulate the economy. I'm trying to buy and do things the American way. I don't want to rob the government of taxes.
I'll tell you why I think that is because folks aspire to be wealthy. They believe the wealthy might throw them a bone or something like that. There is no love for the poor because nobody expects them to do anything for us. That's why we don't mind bailing out the auto industry or the banks, is because, well, they might create jobs or they may actually do this or do that. If you help somebody out who's homeless, I'm not going to get anything out of it. So even when we're talking about helping out those in need, we're only doing it because we expect something on the back end.
Right. And the history shows that group of people have never owned up to that. They have never reached back and helped. They have never gotten to the top and then turned around and put their hand down and say, I'm going to pull the others up to get them here. They got to the top, they cut the rope, they burned the ladder, they blew up the bridge and made sure that no one else got there, And I'll tell you this, I'll say this one thing, and I know you got to go. When we were a great nation, if you could erase the racism and the bigotry and all that stuff, we were a great nation when our neighbors looked out for each other. When the common man could see another man and not know him and know that he was in need of some kind of help, and he would reach out, hey, you need a ride? Hey, I got 2 pair of shoes. You need one. Here, take a pair of my shoes. That's when we were a great nation, when we looked out for each other, when we truly took pride in saying, I'm an American.
I like that. Now,
we're not Americans anymore. We're individuals. We are not a United States. We are a conglomerate of individuals all seeking to get what we can get and fuck the man next to us. Yeah. And that's why we're in the state we're in now.
Well said, Bamboo. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. And I see in the comments, someone responded by saying, when was that? Because I was hearing him say, in my opinion, because he points to a time when neighbors looked out for each other and things like that. I don't know. I don't know if we ever was completely like that. Yeah, maybe your next door neighbor did, but yeah, there's communities that didn't want you in their neighborhoods, or communities that wouldn't want their tax money going to your neighborhood, getting a pool, but he also did point out if you could take out the racism. So I do agree with that part, because the whole issue with Make America Great Again is indeed the word again. Somebody said that on YouTube as well. The word again is where everybody has odds, because again means you're talking about going back to something that has already happened before. And for particularly minorities in general, there's no part in history you want to go back to. I'll tell you myself, as a minority, 2024 is the best it has ever been for minorities. There's not a single year in U.S. history that I believe going back to that year would be better for minorities. I think that every year it gets better and better, because for minorities, they get a bigger piece of the pie. So I don't believe there's any year in history that as a minority, you would look back. I want to go back to that time. There may be aspects of previous years. DJ Julio, yeah! Thank you for the hat mustache. Thank you for your support as always, DJ Julio. Thank you. And by the way, folks, tap the screen. Give me on up to 20 thou. On YouTube, David Moore says blacks started going to higher education. And then what do you mean? I would be curious to your statement. There's something missing there. Blacks started going to higher. And by the way, thanks for the support. Good thing in my opinion, by the way. But I think that again is the issue. And I see in the comments, Pincher says, Make America Great Again for the colonizers. There are parts of our society now that some folks want to get rid of. I'll tell you now, some folks will say it's racism. We can talk about that, but certainly any of the gains being made by the LGBT community, there are a large portion of our society want to get rid of that. Whether it is the transgender community now being recognized, even gay marriage, which is only since 2015. So I do believe Make America Great Again would probably feature going back to an era where they didn't have so much say. Getting rid of that, that's one group I'm pretty confident that would be eradicated. I would say if we had, let's say, a complete Trump world versus a complete Biden world, and when I say world, I mean they're in control of the Senate, supermajority, in control of the Senate, in control of Congress, Trump's in the White House. The LGBT community would damn near cease to exist. I mean, Trump already talked about he would ask Congress to demand, or better yet, pass a law that they go by your birth, your what I want to say, your gender at birth on all your documents. So your driver's license, taxes, whatever. If you're born a man, for the rest of your life, you will be a man on all your government documents. So essentially, from a government standpoint, you cannot become transgender. That's something Trump said. So if your driver's license will always say a man, it doesn't matter how much makeup, sex change, whatever you're going to have man on there, because the government does not allow you to change. Trump has stated that. Trump came out and said that I would ask Congress to go by the gender on your birth certificate for life. So I do believe, and I see in the comments, Dennis Seidler said the way it should be. And there's a lot of MAGA that believes that. So in other words, the transgender community would essentially cease to exist under a Trump world, in my opinion. I don't feel confident that gay marriage would survive either. But I know the transgender community, it's a death wish for them. It would be over with. Looking in the comments, 100,000 at Trump rally right now in the Bronx, says Sean. I don't know. Let me just say this. And shout out to Trump for going to areas where there is diversity. I will applaud him for that, having a rally in the Bronx. But the 100,000, look, I'm not watching it. I'm obviously talking to you fine people. But Trump has a history of lying about the numbers of attendance at his gatherings. I mean, largest inauguration in history, for instance. So he kind of came on the scene overinflating the amount of participation. Maybe there is 100,000 at the Bronx, but if you can question a report on CNN or MSNBC, I think at this point you have a reason to question any numbers issued by the Trump administration in terms of the attendance numbers, because he's also stated there was 100,000 at the New Jersey gathering, and then news came out that the venue could only fit 20,000 people in it. There wasn't 80,000 people hanging around on the outside. So I don't know if he's actually accurate about that. But looking in the comments, so fixated on color that they can't see the blind robbery, race to the bottom. America has always been fixated on color. I think the only time being fixated on color became an issue is when the colored people started doing it. All of America's history, we've been fixated on color. It didn't become a major issue until the colored people started doing it. But before that, it was totally okay. We go back in fact, it used to be written on things, colored people only and all of that. So I don't know why all of a sudden now it's crazy. But going back to the box, Country Hound Dog, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. I don't know what's going on with that. Wait a minute, try that again. Yep, it's a shame. No, you fixated on color. I think America is fixated on color. Who did I pick? American, does that say Patriot? What does that say?
American Papa Tom.
Papa Tom. So what do you think? 40,000?
Well,
go ahead.
I just want to tell you, I was on your last live and, somebody violated me for whatever. But I just wanted to tell you personally again, thank you for your live. And just pretty much, that's all I wanted to come up here and say. so I don't get another violation. And all that.
We'll keep it short and sweet.
Look what just happened to you, right?
Yeah, it happens all the time. I haven't even checked the results for the appeal, but I don't think we really did or said anything, so I probably have already won the appeal, but I just came over here.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming through, though, Papa. Come
all
on
right,
back,
brother.
anytime.
Have a good day, and God bless. Have a great weekend.
Sentiments, exactly. Come on back anytime. Looking in the comments, America was based on race and class from the beginning when they did what they did to the natives. Yeah, like I said, being fixated on color did not become a major issue until colored people started doing it. Otherwise, it would have been totally fine. Going back to the box, I tried to bring up different guests and it came up. We'll try it again this time. Tap the screen. Get the likes on up to around 30,000. We can do that if you let your thumbs not be lazy. Country Hound Dog, good afternoon. Country Hound Dog, are you there? Okay, we're moving on. Country Hound Dog is not in there. Good intentions, but they are going about it the wrong way. I'm always a bit cautious. I hesitate a little bit when folks say you're doing something the wrong way. I think you know where I'm going with this. Protesting the wrong way, taking the knee, things like that. Fact is, I've never seen a successful protest done the right way. Everybody that has ever accomplished anything, from the Boston Tea Party on up to modern times, any protest that's ever been successful was done, quote unquote, the wrong way. We favor MLK now. I see in the comments, Anthony John says Martin Luther King did it the right way. No, he didn't. No, he did not. They say that now, after the guy's been shot in the face and he's been dead for 60 years. But when Martin Luther King was alive, the sit-ins in white restaurants, you're coming around stirring up trouble. These people were just trying to have lunch and you Negroes come sitting in here. They would say that this town was doing fine. These colored folks didn't have a problem until you started showing up, stirring up trouble. He was not doing it the right way. They were all over Martin Luther King as an instigator, as a racist. It's been 60 plus years and he's been shot in the face, so they don't want to keep hammering a dead guy. But when he was alive, they weren't saying he was doing it the right way. He was doing it the wrong way. Showing up to the polls, trying to promote folks to vote that normally would not have, stirring up trouble. This is stuff they were saying. This is the stuff they were saying. This town was fine until you and your protesters came here and caused all of this. He was not protesting the right way. No civil rights leader has ever protested the right way. Because the right way to protest is to do it in a way that gives me the ability to ignore you. Don't block streets so I can drive home and not pay attention to your protest. Don't take a knee at the game so I can watch the game and ignore wherever you're protesting at later. That's the right way to do it. There is one group that is known for protesting, and they do it the right way, and they get the exact results I just stated. That is the abortion protesters. They stand out. They have Bibles in their hands. Maybe they got up pictures of dead babies or something like that. They don't block traffic. They don't block the right of way or anything. And the public ignores them. They just drive right by them. That's protesting the right way. And they've done that for years and years and years and years. Folks will say, well, instead of Colin Kaepernick or an athlete taking a knee at a game, why not go and rent a rec hall or rent some type of auditorium and give a speech? That way you're not interrupting the game and bringing politics where people don't want it. Go do it over here or take out some airtime and do your own. The people saying that would not watch any of that shit. Give me the right to ignore your protest, and then you're doing it the right way. Any athlete taking a knee, if he followed the advice of the person that's saying the right way to do it, that person telling you the right way to do it would not watch the way you're doing it. They would tune out because they don't listen. The protest is a fraud to them. What Colin Kaepernick was protesting The people who thinks he's protesting the wrong way, they don't believe in what he's protesting either. So they're not going to show up to it. So the only way to get attention to your protest is to literally force the people to take notice. Because if you give them an option to ignore you, that's what they will do. Looking in the comments, though, a military person suggested to Kaepernick how to protest. I have heard that. Looking in the comments, though, and by the way, it's really weird that a lot of the same people who thought Colin Kaepernick was protesting the wrong way think that MAGA on January 6th was protesting the right way. I don't get that. Taking the knee is disrespectful to the flag, but taking down the flag and putting up a Trump flag is doing it the right way. You got to make it make sense to me. I don't know how to make that make sense. Looking in the comments, though, and that's the wrong way to protest. Do not block the road when I'm coming through. It won't be good. We're going to do run over. You so eager to get home, you commit a bunch of homicides on the way? Jeffrey, is that what you're saying? That if somebody blocks the road, you're so eager to get home, you'll just commit mass murder so you can go home and sit on the couch and watch Seinfeld while eating cereal with a bunch of red tires on your car? Wow. I get looked at sideways because I don't want to cover my heart like I'm in 5th grade, says Pep. Well, they view you as being unpatriotic. That's what that is. They view you as being unpatriotic. And by the way, and I'll go back to the box, but if we're going to suggest we are a country of free individuals, forced patriotism should not be in that. If you're free, then you shouldn't have to say the anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance. That's what freedom's about. If you're forcing people to stand as opposed to taking a knee or put their hand up, then that's forced patriotism. That does happen in a few places. North Korea is forced patriotism, but they're not exactly free. Going back to the box, though, you are back in making America, you are backing making America white again. Understand and process. How do you make America white again? I'd be curious. I don't understand. How do you even do that? Let me go back to the box. We'll go straight to Nicholas writing. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. 46% of one's paycheck are taxed is
What's
theft.
going on, Big Tim?
Nicholas, good afternoon. We were talking.
What's happening, my brother?
Not much at all.
Before we go any further, you had me fucking dying yesterday, Tim, breaking everybody's balls, especially Lumberjack, the way he runs his fucking live, and they cut off your comments. Hilarious, bro.
Yeah. Anytime I go into a MAGA lab, particularly a black MAGA lab, they are pretty hard on me, but I enjoy
they cut
it.
your comments off. Why, Big Tim? Because you speak the fucking truth and they can't handle it?
I don't know, but he definitely did that and tried to deny he did. I'm like, why are all the comments turned on? It's weird, man.
Tim, you were ruffling feathers in the group. I'll tell you that much. And it was a classic because that girl that was talking, she was not making no fucking sense, bro.
Well, I do appreciate you tuning in, man. Thank you for that. So, what do you think? You think Biden's doing a good job for giving $7.7 billion?
No. Fuck no, Biden ain't doing a good job. He's fucking running our country right into the fucking ground. I don't care if I get banned, but fuck the government, fuck the Democratic Party, fuck everybody. I came on here to ruffle a few feathers.
What is the Democratic Party? All right, so what is the Democratic Party doing, in your opinion, that's so bad, quote unquote, running the country into the ground? What are they doing that's that bad?
I mean, what are they doing that's right, Tim? Either the right, the left, the fucking middle, the up and down. Everybody's there to fuck us in the ass at the end of the day, so it really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? They give it to us in the ass, dry cactus style, no Vaseline, Tim.
All right.
I mean, come on, bro.
Okay, I get that you're trying to ruffle feathers, but you're going to take down the whole damn line with this anal stuff. But I'm trying.
What's up, brother?
I'm begging you, use some synonyms. You know I don't censor anybody, but use some synonyms.
What has the Democratic Party done to our country?
Yeah.
Shit on us. The whole entire time for 4 years straight. And if everybody's going to keep voting Democratic Party, God bless their little hearts is all I can say. Because if they like getting fucked in the ass, then God bless them, Tim, because I'm tired of getting it in the ass, brother.
All right, I'm going to have to move it on.
The other day. You ready, Tim?
Real quick.
I checked my check the other day, Tim. I see stuff on there. I don't even know what it is that they're taking money out for anymore. I don't get it. Like 17 things for taxes. And I'm paying a couple things to put away for my future. But what is this other shit that they're taking out of my
Are
fucking
you
check
sure that all of the taxes you have an issue with are federal? Are you sure some of them ain't state or local taxes?
And federal, state, this, that. Tim, I don't even understand the taxes.
What state are you in?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right. I mean, because it could be some of that could be your Pennsylvania's gas prices are ridiculous.
Well, also, I work for the federal government, and they stick it right up my ass every time I get my check every 2 weeks with no Vaseline.
You got some. Do you tend to favor anal, man? You got a lot of anal coming out of you.
Do I got anger? Hell no.
No, anal. No, I didn't say anger. I said anal. ANAL. You're talking a lot of anal, man.
No, I'm married, Tim. I'm married, brother.
That ain't saying nothing. Your wife might like it too.
100% straight. Love ladies. You know, none of that bullshit. I'm just coming on here to talk some shit. That's about it, bro. All right. I'll be honest with you.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Nicholas. You always welcome back with a little plus or minus a little less anal, but come on back anytime.
You got it, brother. I'll take that back. All that anal shit, I take it back. 100% me. 100% always will be, and that's that, Tim. Have a great day, and fuck everybody in the chat that's Democrat.
All right. Wow. And listen, when I say we go left of Bernie Sanders talking about having dinner with QAnon, we do believe in an uncensored program. We do believe in that, but he was pushing it. I'd let you say any damn thing, but I can't control the TikTok gods. So sometimes they will take the program down. So I had to, unfortunately, speed up the communication with my last guest because he was really pushing that anal thing. Gen Xer, thank you for the super chat, says, good Lord, Moo has a Republican cousin. For all of my beloved MAGA that do not favor Moo the Tuxedo Cat, Gen Xer is saying that my last caller is the Republican version of Moo. Yeah, maybe so. That's a good comparison. Looking at and by the way, Peter Parker, is that Spider-Man or is that that's Spider-Man? Because what is the other guy? Clark Kent on Superman. But this is YouTube, by the way, Peter Parker. But the audio you're hearing is coming from TikTok. We are simultaneously on both apps, so the conversation, the callers are coming via TikTok. The Handsome Liberal is the name on both pages. We can, going back to the comments, nobody yet. Real quick, in regards to the Democratic Party is trashing the country, I had a whole lot of questions I wanted to ask him, but perhaps we can throw that to the next caller. I personally believe, and I've said this before, and neither side of the aisle likes what I'm about to say here, but there are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump. There are legitimate reasons to vote for Biden. There are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump. There are legitimate reasons to vote for Biden. Neither one of these candidates is so perfect or so awful that you should only see one side without any type of backlash. There are legitimate reasons from both sides. Depends on what your politics are. It really does. Looking in the comments, I'm not voting for either, says blessed and highly favored. Okay, fair enough. Dems are trash, says Cedric Haney. They're absolutely garbage. Biden is absolutely lost. Okay, sounds like you want to reach across the aisle and make a few liberal friends. Continuing on with the program, now we'll go to Frank B. I'm assuming that last name is Italian, but I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. We'll go with Frank B. You don't know what you're talking about, sir, says Cleaver. Feel free to elaborate on that. What do I not know what I'm talking about? Frank B, good afternoon.
What up?
Not much at all. So, did you hear my last caller? Frank B, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You don't hear me?
Yeah, did you hear my last caller?
Yeah, I heard him.
He said
he
Democrats.
liked a lot of anal.
He said, but he also said Democrats are trash. Do you echo that sentiment?
Yes, I agree. Democrats are the worst thing for this country.
Why do you say that?
Because I mean, just look at them. They can't argue about any of these topics. They all say Trump is a horrible person. I mean, Joe Biden's just as bad, even worse, I think.
But wait, hold on. You say that the Democrats all say Trump is a bad person, then you said Joe Biden is just as horrible. So you're actually confirming that Trump is horrible. You're just saying Biden is too.
I mean, they're both bad. I mean, I don't think Trump is perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm a damn sinner. I make so many damn sins. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a good person either. Nobody is.
Was Trump a good president?
What?
Was Trump a good president?
Yeah, I think Trump was the best president we ever had. I think he's better than all of them.
You think he was? You think he's the best president we've had in history?
You got that damn right. I think he's the best president ever, man.
What do you think he's accomplished to put him that high up? Give me some of his best accomplishments that 100 years from now we'll still be talking about.
Going into North Korea with him holding his balls in his hand and not being scared of anything. I mean, him having the courage to go into these countries and getting respect from all these leaders. We're a laughingstock right now.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You said Trump is the best president in history. We still talk about George Washington. We still talk about Abraham Lincoln. Hundreds of years later, FDR, Kennedy. Give me something Trump has done that 100 years from now we'll still be talking about. Best president in history. He should have plenty of things.
There was many things that he was trying to do that was gonna.
We don't give out participation trophies. Give me something he actually did. 100 years from now, we're still talking about.
Protecting the border, I would say. Security. I mean, he had it more secured than now.
100 years from now,
the crime rates were down. There wasn't as many school shootings as we have now. I mean, look at these look at these Democrat states. All these shootings, all the most gun shootings are in Democrat states. Look at all this stuff. But Trump would have had that happening. And you know damn right, you can't sit on here and say that would happen.
You think 100 years from now, we're going to be talking about Trump secured the border? School shootings, most presidents didn't deal with a single one of those. That is something that just started happening about a generation ago. Most presidents have zero. You're talking about Trump had less. 100 years from now, you think people are going to be talking about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think people are going to be talking about how Trump was just a man of his word, and everybody hates when somebody's honest. Most liberals don't like the truth. Most liberals can't take the truth. Most liberals don't like when you're free-minded, when you speak your mind and have something to say, and you're not scared to say it. Yeah, I mean, people don't respect a man. They don't respect somebody who's like, go fuck yourself. Okay? people don't respect that. We need more of that. He has courage, man. He has balls. We got a guy who came and stand on stage, man. We got a guy who can't do nothing for this country.
So somebody tell.
You gotta look at Trump as a man who was about his word, didn't give a fuck what you said about him. Guess what? He didn't ban our speech. He didn't want to do any of that. Open-minded, just like me, man.
Wait a minute, you're saying Trump didn't ban our speech, he didn't want to do it. Isn't he the first person that talked about banning TikTok entirely? Wasn't he for doing that?
Yeah, I kind of wish this app gets banned. Too many damn liberals on this shit, spreading false information.
So that's not banning speech at all. Getting rid of TikTok is not banning speech.
I mean, yeah, sure it is, but we could find other platforms. We don't need this. Screw this app. Screw it.
So are you for banning speech or not? Are you, in other words, it sounds like you're okay.
I'm not for it, but if this app's got to go, it's got to go, man. Like, just like if Pornhub's got to go, that's got to go. If that got to go, any of this kind of stuff, any of the stuff that's got to go, got to go.
Why the hell would you get rid of? Do you realize how much violence? You're talking about women choosing bears. You get rid of Pornhub, even the bears might be eating women. You can't get rid of Pornhub.
North Carolina got rid of it. You can't. North Carolina, where I live, you can't. They're banning Pornhub and all that. Can't go on those apps.
Banning Pornhub in a right-wing state. That's a right-wing state doing that shit. You got Trump entertaining states banning contraceptives, banning abortions. How do you answer somebody who says Republicans sound like they're about banning everything?
Hey, it is what it is. As long as my gas is cheaper and my food bill is cheaper, man, and as long as I have a president that's not an idiot and can complete a full sentence. And if you think this girl Harris, if you really believe this girl Harris, because we know Biden's gonna die. He's not going to live another 4 years. Come on, man. If you think this lady is going to be good for us, you're drunk. You're drunk. You're out of your mind. She will put every person who smokes marijuana, does all these little small crimes in jail. She's going to screw over everybody, man.
Are you saying that Vice President Harris will be tough on drugs, tough on crime?
She's going to be tough on anybody, man. She's a corrupt politician, just like most of them, but she's the worst. Look at her. She's in the background all the time doing nothing. What does she do? What do you hear comes out of her mouth? Nothing. She's a racist. She doesn't care. And this guy in the comments who says I'm a racist, I'm not. I'm actually have a black wife. So
don't say that. Please don't say that.
I mean, yeah, that doesn't mean I'm not racist.
Right.
But, right. But I mean, I'm just saying I'm not. But,
I mean, let me just say this: when you started talking about I got a black wife, that almost sounded like the slave owner. Like I'm not racist. I had sex with a slave last night.
No, I understand that, but guess what? Guess what? Most of these soft people, you know, they believe these things. Like, oh man, he says this, he has that. You know, I mean, it's just crazy. Everybody I know who I am. You know, I know who I am. You can't judge me. Just like I support Trump, I'm a racist. You know.
Well, supporting Trump does not make you a racist, but I will say this. Trump has no problem with racists supporting him openly. So if his vote count can be raised by support from racists, he'll gladly entertain that.
Don't forget, you're not black if you don't vote for Biden, man.
And you're not Jewish if you don't vote for Trump.
And guess what? You also have a president who also had ties to KKK, who also was a former KKK member that President Biden was close with.
Yeah. I will tell you this.
Yeah, come on, man. Did Trump have any of those ties to those kind of people? No. Look at all the pictures of celebrities that he surrounded himself with that was a major black community that they respected him for everything he has done.
Yeah. Well, let me say a couple of things in response to what you mentioned. Man. Let me respond to some of this. First of all, you mentioned Biden with the KKK. That's Senator Byrd. And I've said this before in the program. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get me on up to 60,000. Let your thumbs not be lazy. You understand this is an uncensored program. We don't block, censor, or ban anybody. That's how the program is ran. Free speech paramount. In regards to Senator Byrd, you often hear this with Biden. He hung around a KKK wizard or Grand Dragon or whatever the hell Senator Byrd is. What folks don't tell you, and you can easily look up, is that toward the end of Senator Byrd's life, he died in, I think, 2013. He had made up with the black community, was favored by the NAACP. Both Obama and Jesse Jackson was at his funeral. I think that Obama even eulogized him. They don't bring any of that up. They stop it at him being in the KKK. That man actually turned his life around toward the end.
Agree. I don't forgive anybody for their past. That's their past, and they still did it. I don't really forgive most people with their past. Especially a past like that, if you're that full-fledged to being racist, and as a black man, saying, not me as a black man, but a black man forgiving that man is kind of crazy to me. That's ridiculous.
Do you realize what this country would be like if black people took your advice and did not forgive anybody or any entity with a racist? The whole damn country, including the national anthem in the Bible, has a racist past. Do you want us to hold everything accountable based on what you just said? Is that what you like?
I mean, most of those people are like far dead, though, like slave owners.
But they're still celebrated. They're still celebrated and honored. Should we forgive all of them? Should we not get, I mean, the Confederate flag, all of the racism in the past of that? Should we view it as pride and heritage, or as you say, not forgive the past of the Confederates?
I mean, I don't mean to get that serious on that topic, but
What? Wait, why not? You're changing a little bit.
You got some slick words, Tim.
No, hey, if you put it on the table, there's a reason why Trump did not testify. Because if you're going to put it on the table and say something like that, you're going to get cross-examined. And once I started pointing to you how much shit in this country has a racist past, you kind of realize maybe that's not a good idea to hold everything accountable for its past.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, as somebody in that kind of clan, though, man, that's like a blood member joining like a Crip, like transform, like going to a Crip. Like being a blood and going to a Crip.
I get what you're saying, but do you realize how many police departments around America have actually been found to have white supremacists working at the upper levels of management? There would be whole police departments we could not forgive if we take your advice. There are white supremacists in the military. We would not forgive. I mean, every institution would be in jeopardy if we took your advice.
I mean, yeah, but I mean.
Okay, my caller must have had a call. All right, fair enough. He's always.
Oh, no, I'm still here. No, I'm still here.
Okay, go ahead.
One more thing to say. Well, racism still exists, man. As a white man with a black woman, I think I get the most racism out of any of these people.
Really?
I'll be honest. Yeah, hell yeah. Are you kidding me? When I go, my girlfriend's from Trenton, right?
Wait, you said your girlfriend's trans? What'd you say?
No, she's from Trenton, New Jersey, man.
Oh,
okay. She's from Trenton, New Jersey.
All right.
I'm the only white guy on that block. When I go up there, they say shit to me. They say, "Oh, why are you with this girl? This is not part of your culture." Man, I get a lot of racism, man. It's not right. It's not right that people do this crap, and no one likes to talk about it because everybody's scared. Like I said again, Trump, that's why I like him. He speaks what he says. Like me, people will be scared to speak about what I'm saying right now on something like this. But I honestly believe there's more racism as a white man dating a black woman.
Really? What about your wife? She's Trump supporter too?
You got that damn right. Whatever I believe in, she believes in.
Whoa, that sounds very Republican of you.
I mean,
have you ever? Perhaps I could entertain you in a position as a kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wait, you're talking about Harrison Butler?
You just what you said sounds straight like that. My wife policing whatever I believe in. That sounds exactly like what he's talking about.
You got that damn right. She might, she's different from skin color, but we believe in the same things, man. Okay. You know what's crazy?
That ain't what you said. You said she believes in what I believe in.
The black people don't like this either. Let me tell you something. The black people hate this. My daughter's white. My girlfriend's blacker than you, man. But my daughter's white. Black people hate it. They hate it. They don't like it. I swear to God, they hate it. I'm not even lying to you.
Why do you think?
They literally look at her different, bro. I put that on everything. They look at her different.
All right. A white man.
Follow me on IG. You can see my family and all that.
All right, and they sending a warning across. Come on back anytime. Send me what you got on IG. I'll definitely take a look at it. Frank B.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. Yo, thank you, Tim, for letting me come up here. And you're great, man. I listen to you all the time. Much respect. I'm not a racist. I just love our country, and I want to make us great again, man.
All right. I could ask you a host of questions, Frank B., but thank you for coming through, man, anytime. All right, moving the program on. I just looked at his profile. She is mixed. Okay, D nice. They call me D nice, taking out your suckers. All right, look, that's not a good thing, says Lisa. You guys, oh my God. And I see somebody said he's bluffing. After Occupy Wall Street, the banks bought or invested in media companies, which is where the racial division really started up again. We killed racism in the 90s, and shit is sad now. It's class warfare. Everybody's blaming Biden for the crime bill. And you're telling me we killed racism in the 90s? You realize how many blacks have all these drug charges on their record? I mean, we didn't kill racism in the 90s. What are you talking about? The war on drugs was racist as hell, where you take a crack rock, which the only substance that is illegal in a piece of crack or rock cocaine is the only illegal substance in crack. All the rest of that shit's baking soda and B12, stuff you can buy anywhere. The only illegal substance in crack is cocaine. And there's only about 10% of cocaine in crack. Yet if you buy a crack rock, you were getting a bigger sentence than somebody going out and buying pure cocaine. Their entire product, the whole product is illegal. Yet they're going to prison for a shorter time than the guy who only has 10% of a substance. So no, it was not. We didn't get rid of racism in the 90s. I think we took it to a whole new level with the drug game that gave them an excuse to be even more racist. I'm assuming we're kind of forgetting about the Rodney King issue in the 1990s. I don't think we got rid of racism in the 90s. Looking in the comments, Trump emboldened racists and bigots to come out and show themselves for the haters they are. Damn, Lisa, I've had many guests on the program say the same thing. I've been black my whole life, and racism has always been around, says Annette Jones. I think anytime you put two different type of people on the same landmass with each other, you're going to have racism. I don't think it's avoidable. You're always going to have people who have stereotypes, and there's plenty of black racists, by the way. I often get hammered, well, black people can't be racist, and I don't buy into that. I do believe you can be black or Hispanic or any other group and also be racist. Now, the power structure in this country is predominantly in the hands of white people. They are the majority. So, you know, the racism coming from whites has a lot more oomph behind it, but you can be black and be racist as well. I don't believe that white people have a patent on being racist. All races can be racist. Anyhow, looking in the comments, will the real Republican Party ever return, says Coach Briggs? Yes, they will. After Trump's demise, though, it would have to be either Trump passing away. Having dementia would be one way to do it, where he's not involved in politics. But as long as Trump is alive, the Republican Party is going to be pro-MAGA. Nikki Haley, we talked about that earlier in the live stream. Nikki Haley coming out and endorsing President Trump is a primary example of how powerful Trump is. There are people out there endorsing Trump where Trump said some really nasty shit about, really hurt their careers. He was on the way to trashing Ron DeSantis' career as well. All of these folks don't endorse President Trump, which, in my opinion, you can favor Trump. Maybe you think Trump has the best direction for the country. That's fair enough. But if you favor the likes of DeSantis and Nikki Haley and some of them, I question it, because they've shown that they're only in it because they can be in it. They have made it clear that they are only around for the power. I mean, like Ted Cruz. I mean, he pretty much said some awful shit about Ted Cruz's wife. Like, how do you go home and look your woman in the face when the man tweeted out a picture of you and put it next to Melania and indicated you ugly? All he cares about is being in the Senate. I mean, like I said, Trump may be different, but these folks who are endorsing Trump, because Trump would do that. Trump would not let you say all kinds of awful shit about him like that and then jump on your bandwagon. I don't think Trump would do that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I might be wrong on that, but we'll go back to the box. Because they want to be vice president or a cabinet job, said Annette Jones. Yeah, Nikki Haley ain't going to be shit. Nikki Haley, even no matter how much she forgives Trump, she's done. Just like Chris Christie. There's no coming back home for them. I don't think you're going to see Chris Christie endorse Trump. I don't think you're going to see Mike Pence, but I could see Mike Pence potentially doing it. And that's only because they don't have jobs they're worried about losing. Nikki Haley does. Tim Scott does. Ron DeSantis did. So they're doing it to keep their jobs. They're willing to literally bend over backwards to keep those positions in power. Going back into the box, though, we'll keep it moving on with Vanel Sherry, good afternoon. Asking that question, Biden forgiving 7.7 bill. Biden forgave 7.7 bill in student loans. Vanel, you think that's a good idea? Good afternoon. Vanel, are you there? Okay, Vanel must not be there. We're moving on. Spineless jellyfish. Yeah, I think what Nikki Haley did definitely makes her look kind of spineless. And by the way, I don't know what she gains out of that. I guess she was worried as a, well, right now she's not a politician at all. Maybe, I mean, she has aspirations of clearly getting back in politics to some degree. So maybe she was worried if Trump continues to trash her, it would close any avenue for her getting back in. Could be. Yes, I waiting on student loan to be forgiven, but no such luck, says Annette. Yeah, I wouldn't mind some of mine being forgiven, but I know folks on the right ain't going. Here's one thing I will say. The folks say, well, why the hell would you ever vote Democrat? I've used universal health care, Obamacare. I've used it. I could really use forgiving student loans. I get it. Listen, you should pay your own shit back, whatever the case may be. But being broke and bragging, but at least I'm responsible, fuck that. I would rather have the forgiveness of the loans. So I do realize that if the Democrats had their way, I would probably be better off financially by a lot, because I got 3 college degrees. I've paid off one of them. I got 3 college degrees. I've paid off one. I've been paying student loans most of my adult life. So if the liberals could make that go away, okay, we talk about liberals tax you more than the Republicans. You could tax me at 60%, which is astronomically high. And I still would not get all of this, be able to afford all the shit that the Democrats are saying you should have automatically, where health care and student loans and some of the other things they're talking about. I mean, giving somebody who makes a low wage, very low taxes, knowing that even if they have all their money, they still can't do shit with it, I'd rather be the guy getting taxed. I mean, I honestly would rather be the guy getting taxed. And now that I'm climbing up in age, where I am starting to have to go to the doctor for more and more appointments and shit like that. Every time you go to the doctor, I have health insurance. Copay for here, a charge for a specialist there, out-of-pocket costs here or there. I know if the liberals had their way, this stuff would go away. It would go away. And I'm fairly healthy. Just, as you climb up in age, you're going to need more shit. I'm fairly healthy. So I know if the liberals were in power, I wouldn't be dealing with all of that stuff. So I do look at it that way. Looking in the comments, where is my free money paid for all of you, paid for both my kids to go to college? Here's what I don't get. Because the folks on the right, and I'll go back to the box after this, the folks on the right talk about, well, if you forgive tuition for people who owe money, it's unfair to the people who actually work their asses off to pay off loans. There is some validity to that. However, let me give it to you this way. Let's say you got 2 people who are homeless, and one of the homeless individuals finally lucks up, gets a job that pays a decent wage, and they can go buy themselves an apartment or whatever the case may be off the income for that job. The other homeless person is still homeless and still looking for work. All of a sudden, a politician steps in, who would most likely be liberal, that wants to help out the homeless. So the one guy who is still homeless would get help from that politician. Meanwhile, the former homeless guy that's working is like, well, I should get something too. That's what it sounds like. Because I found a way not to be homeless anymore. If you're going to help out the homeless, I should get something too. You will never accomplish anything with that type of mindset. Because everything you help people out with, somebody else went through it and survived. If you're not homeless, you don't need to help. If you paid off your student loans and went through that misery, why would you wish that misery on the next man? You remember how tough it was financially to go through the process to pay off your student loans. I'm sure if you could go back to that time, you would want to be relieved of that misery as well. But you did survive it. And now that you survived it, you want the next man to deal with the same stuff? A little to the left. Thank you for that, Teddy. Thank you. Thank you for that graphic. Appreciate that. Thank you for the support. And I look in the comments, and I got to agree with Teresa, because people have become so selfish. Earlier in the chat, somebody asked the question, are we a Christian country? I'm not very Christian, but in my opinion, those type of who's going to pay for it statements and I suffered, so you should have to. When I did go to church, the God that I knew didn't talk like that. If I suffered and got out of it, you should have to. He didn't talk like that. You see the Last Supper where one loaf of bread was divided. He didn't charge them for the bread. He didn't tell them, I found a way to get a loaf, so you should too. I found a way so I don't have to starve. You should. That's not religious. I don't see it. I don't see it. And that's what also leads me to not be very religious, because in my opinion, and I know a lot of you guys may disagree, you're entitled to do so, but I do see a lot of folks claiming to be Christian to be selfish as hell. I don't know how capitalism and Christianity works together like that, where everybody is about greed. I want to be able to make as much as I can. I don't want to be taxed to help out anybody else. I want as much as there should be no limit on how much I can make, and no law forcing me to share with anybody else. That's a person saying they're Christian. That don't match. At least what I was learning when I was Christian, that doesn't fit that. That just sounds like somebody who's being selfish. Lisa, thank you for the crown. Going back to the box though, that's all, like I said, that is what has led me to be less and less religious, because what I hear kind of just sounds like people being hypocrites, because it just makes no sense. Mad ass Yellow Boy. Good afternoon. Love the name. Shout out to Yella of NWA. Yellow Boy, good afternoon.
How's it going, man?
It's going good. What do you think about 7.7 billion in student loan forgiveness? Did Biden do the wrong thing?
No, he did the right thing. You know, the other side may say it's terrible, but if you believe in the conspiracies of schooling is a scam, then he's addressing for the people. He's trying to help with in our society of this capitalism that you speak of. This capitalism to me is like pure, like simple, like dog eat dog. Like
it's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's
like an old Chinese. Yeah, it's like the old Chinese a grip thing. Just put your finger in both sides of it, and try to pull away everything and stuck. So we're all stuck in capitalism. That's what happens.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say. If you don't work, you don't eat. It is a selfish. Capitalism is all about me. I think Michael Douglas said it best in Wall Street. Greed is good. Capitalism is about me. It's not about really focusing on anybody else but yourself.
Yeah, which causes, as a society, when it's a group effort to make it work, it messes it up.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going through. We're going through that whole progress of sorry, I have to use that word, but using all these tactics to keep it going. And it's just, if you look at the big fight, man, is we're trying to all get to the greater of living, or the greater of good in life. That's our main goal, and we forget that, and then we all tear each other down. So,
I'm being told, I'm being told that Trump would allow us to all do better. Trump is the guy we should vote for. What say you?
Well, if you gotta say, if they use that old saying, like they like their person not to be silent about something, but out loud with it, you know what I'm talking about? Like I like when to be known that I'm not like out loud. The last time it was out loud, a lot of people was in shackles. Okay, It wasn't a good time when it was out loud. So this whole Biden's hiding it, and this guy is showing it, and all that. That's just backwards. It's just terrible either way. But we live in this world. It's here, and I'd rather somebody keep it in home or not out loud, because we know what it can happen when it's out loud, as we seen in January 6th. Wow. That's what that was about to me. It wasn't about the democracy of. It was, to me, almost like a civil thing, and that's what I don't like about that hate, like the speech of that rhetoric, that style. It's not no good, man. It's going to we all kind of feed our families.
So do you believe Trump himself is promoting hate?
Oh yeah, he does, man. The border talk. We're going to talk about the Christ of the border, then we should talk about stuff what the border affects, not the people that come across. That's why that's from a part exposition of hate. Like, you can see where it's not even about what it's doing at the border or whose lives it's affecting for real. It's about just spreading some hate to get some likes. Wow. We can all say something shocking and everybody gets some likes. That's easy. We see it every day. Characters on YouTube.
Well, you do understand it.
Following his footsteps.
Wow. I got to move it on, but you do understand at the end of the day, we may have him as president in about 5 months. He may be back.
Yeah, and this is another time. Hopefully, he don't try to add like 4 more years talking about it ain't consecutive or something crazy, because he'll make up some stuff.
Do you think MAGA would be okay if he tried to add 4 more years?
Oh, they're rolling with that. He's not even going to be alive no more. They're going to have a puppet. They're going to have strings and still make them say, yeah. You know how they do it. They're going to keep rolling with it, man.
Yeah, they saying that we're doing that with Biden. I got to move it on, mad ass yellow boy. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, anytime. All right, looking in the comments. Wow. They want Putin, says Mr. Walter White. I never could understand it. Why is MAGA in particular so favorable to Putin? I mean, I know they believe he's just trying to defend his country. And I'm going to tell you something. There is some validity to what Putin is doing. I mean, as for us on the U.S. side of the fence, we've always had this mindset of our shit don't stink. And even though I'm no fan of Russia, there is some legitimate claims that we were at the very least flirting with making the Ukraine a member of NATO. And Putin doesn't want that to happen. Now, the U.S. is going to argue, well, you shouldn't be able to interfere with what a sovereign nation like the Ukraine wants to do. Here's that we don't think our shit stinks type mentality, because we know damn well if Mexico was being flirted with by the Soviet Union during the height of the Soviet Union, if Russia was trying to make Mexico or Canada part of the Soviet Union in the late 70s, early 80s, we would have been just like what Putin is doing. We all know about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Cuba was doing exactly that. And we were willing to go to war. So although I'm no fan of what Vladimir Putin is doing, I know America would do the same thing. We would do the exact same thing. We have always had this mentality of our shit don't stink. I mean, I hate to get racial, but from a standpoint of, we point out how awful Adolf Hitler, the Third Reich, and all of that was. The swastika, you name it. Everything about that group of people in the 30s and 40s in Germany has a mirror effect of the Confederates. It's a mirror effect. The only difference is the Germans lost the war and history, the truth got out. The Confederates, unlike the Germans, were allowed to narrate their own story. You think the Holocaust would have happened if Germany had won the war? They would be telling you that's made up. Those Jews disappeared, casualties of a major war. They're making it up and blaming it on us. That's what would have happened. Just like the Confederates were allowed to tell their own story. And the story they tell don't make them look that bad. The Germans would have did the same thing. And many folks who sympathize with the Germans during that period in history are telling that story. They are telling you the Holocaust didn't happen, or it wasn't 6 million, it was a few hundred thousand. They're doing that. They are doing that. And you look at the Confederates, you're telling me there's not mass graves all over the South that have never been discovered? Everything that the Third Reich was doing to the Jewish people, the Confederates were doing. Rapes, murders, lynchings, you name it. Other than the gas chamber. Everything else that they were doing, the Confederates did. Yet in America, like I said, our shit don't stink. In America, we view the Confederates considerably better than we view members of the Third Reich. There's no difference in what they were doing. Now, the Germans were only doing that 20 years max. You know, Hitler rose to power in the 30s. By 1945 or 46, he was dead. So it's really short time. Confederates had hundreds of years to do it. Everything from pulling a young underage child out of a field and having sex with them, you name it. All of the stuff the Third Reich was doing, they were doing the same stuff. And we give them a much, much better historical view. Pride and heritage, you know, all of that. Their flag can still be flown. You can't fly the swastika in Germany. There's no statues to Eichmann or Hitler in Germany. They don't allow that. That's what happens when you are able to write your own history. Now, Jennifer Biddy says agree to disagree. I'd be curious to know what you disagree with. You don't think there are mass graves all over the South? You don't think that exists? You don't think that they were doing stuff that was very similar to the third? Tell me where I'm getting it wrong. I certainly will read your comment. If you're right, I'll concede the point. You know we don't believe in blocking, banning, or censoring. No, they didn't. And whatever propaganda you listen to, what is this? No, they didn't. And whatever propaganda you listen to, please read so well and get an education. Didn't they just discover a mass grave in Oklahoma that was under a business and a highway? Tell me what they didn't do that I'm getting wrong. Let me know. Tell me. They just discovered a damn mass grave. And there are plenty of other ones. I think there was a church that they bought out. Just you want to tell me to get educated? Look it up. Mass graves in the South and see what you get. Tell me the part I'm getting wrong. I would certainly like to know it. There's no mass graves in the South. That is insane. One was a world trade deal. The other one wasn't. Doesn't matter if it's world trade or not. I'm just simply saying a lot of the activities of the Third Reich were also done by the Confederates. You can give me a million different reasons for why they did it. Shooting somebody in the head is shooting somebody in the head. I mean, hanging somebody's hanging somebody. You're just coming up with a different reason for why you're doing it. Even the Jewish folks who were enslaved. I mean, it's a lot of, in fact, there are rumors that, or statements that suggest that Hitler patterned what he was doing during that time after what happened in America. In fact, also, during the Second World War, to reduce morale of black GIs, they actually were telling the black GIs how bad you're going to get treated when you go back home, to try to convince them that fighting against the Germans wasn't that bad. Like, well, it's not going to get treated great when you go back home. But the idea that they didn't do the same stuff, I don't quite get where I'm getting that wrong. We don't have an all-white TV, all-white college, and all-white march, NAACP, etc. That would be hella racist, but it's okay for blacks to have it. I've heard that comment. I mean, that conversation, you know, they got BET. Why can't whites have their own? I mean, I hear what you're saying, but the reason BET was created, I guess, I mean, not that a lot of people care about this, but the reason it was created is because black programs that go into syndication would never be shown on ABC, NBC, or CBS. So this gave an outlet to shows like Good Times or some of these lower, you know, the Jeffersons, something like that, everybody knew about, but a lot of the lower level black shows, you know, Wayans Brothers, they're not going to put reruns of that on ABC or NBC. That's where BET came in. Whereas all of the other networks that didn't call themselves white entertainment television like BET does, they're showing it. So I get what you're saying, but there's more to it. Looking in the comments, why don't you grow some hair? I don't know why that's being asked. that people don't make you more. I don't quite get that one though. But Sandra, Americans don't care about Americans, let alone what Russians are doing. But Kuster thinking y'all are important. Americans don't care about Americans. Look, I don't disagree totally with that. I mean, obviously we're a capitalist country, so we clearly don't care about our fellow brothers and sisters. The minute somebody asks for help, well, who's going to pay for it? Because I'm not paying for them. I mean, we don't care a lot about other Americans. I think that's becoming more and more apparent. Anytime you talk about doing something for another American, it's referred to as free shit, socialism. So I see that. Did you see how they arrested people with Ukrainian war rallies? I don't quite get that, but going to the box real quick. Sandra says you're reaching again. For you folks who feel like some of the things I say are complete bullshit, you know I don't block, ban, or censor comments. I invite the dissenting opinion. That's how the program has been ran from day one. Particularly on YouTube, you get the ability to tell me what I got wrong. You're full of shit. You don't know what you... Instead of typing that, type out what I'm getting wrong so we can have a conversation. I can go to my baby mama and hear I'm full of shit. Let me know what I'm getting wrong. Let's actually have some serious dialogue. All of this, just a blatant insult that doesn't tell me anything, means nothing. Looking in the comments, government is not a charity. With that said, the right is more charitable than the left. If you remove government taking care of its people, most people won't be taken care of. You're saying that the right is more charitable than the left. Well, that could be true. And I say that because the right has more money in its grasp than the left. More older people who have developed wealth are lean right. If you have a bunch of money and you don't want to share it, you're more likely to vote Republican because they're going to guarantee. So I do agree with you. I do believe that more money exists in right-wing circles than it does in the left. But I don't agree that you say, well, government is not a charity organization. Well, yeah, if you then you would just lead the people to their own devices and a lot of folks would suffer. And there's a time when government didn't do a damn thing for the people, and the people were significantly poorer than they are now. The role of government is to ensure the well-being of its citizens. Yeah, but that can be interpreted a host of ways. I mean, tuition forgiveness could be classified as being concerned with the well-being of your citizens. Then other folks will say, no, it's not. Let me go back to the box real quick, though. We'll keep it moving. DJ Julio, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. We're talking about $7.7 billion in student loan forgiveness. I'm assuming, Julio, if the box brings you up, you will disagree. Julio's MAGA. Always good to talk to Julio. Friend of the show. The box doesn't look like it's going to bring Julio up. There we go. Julio. Are you there, DJ Julio? Are you there?
Oh, I think you're freezing up.
Okay, I can hear him. All right, let's try it again. Come back through. Government, let me see something here. Darn people sell their food stamps for money. That does happen, Kendra. Here's one thing I'll say all the time, and I don't know the box is being flaky, but we'll keep it moving. When you talk about rich and poor in this country, I've said it before, the right and left have a exact opposite view. The left is incredibly critical of rich people. Tax the rich, they're not paying their fair share, they're getting rich on the backs of poor people. That's how the left tends to view the rich. The right views the rich as they worked hard for their money, they're creating jobs, it has a trickle-down effect. The right is very favorable to the rich. As they say, I never got a job from a poor person. So the right is always more favorable to the rich than the left is. However, when you view how they view the poor, it's just the opposite. While Democrats are more critical to the rich, Democrats are incredibly favorable to the poor. They're often in favor of any social program helping the poor out, from universal health care to forgiving tuition, food stamps, welfare, you name it, helping out the poor. because they believe the poor is being mistreated by the rich and just needs a little bit of help to get their life back on par. The right, on the other hand, although they're favorable to the rich, they are incredibly critical of the poor. If we give you food stamps, you're just going to have more kids and not go to work. Minimum wage increase, it wasn't meant for burger flippers. It wasn't meant for you to live a whole life off of. Go back to school and don't ask us for any help when you go there. The right views the poor, any type of assistance to the poor, the right views it as if the poor is trying to scam the system to get it. There is virtually no program that will help out the poor that the right is in favor of. It's free shit. It's socialism. The only group that may not have as much that the right would be in favor of is veterans. We'll help veterans out. But the rest of them is free shit. Socialism. Why do it? So in the comments, Jay Love says, not true, I'm a conservative and have empathy for the poor. Damn empathy. We're talking about actual assistance. You could walk by me sleeping on a tent on a sidewalk being homeless and have a ton of empathy for me. But if you don't give me a sandwich or a place to stay, it's useless. Empathy there's no value to empathy. You know what empathy is? Sorry your child died in a mass killing. My thoughts and prayers are with you. That's empathy. Doesn't do anything for the child, but it is empathy. So I get your point about the empathy part, but we're talking about actual tangible assistance, not empathy. We're talking, how about support? How about help? Empathy, that's cute. There is value to empathy if it's all you can afford. No, it's not. No, it's not. If empathy, at the end of the day, if empathy does not change the situation of the person you're giving it to, there's no value to it. Like I said, if you offer somebody thoughts and prayers, tell me what the value is to that. I don't believe there's any value to empathy. I think there's value to support. They complain about foreign spending, but don't want to spend it on Americans either. That is true. That is true. And I've said that before, that we talk about, instead of helping out the Ukraine or sending money to Israel, we could be helping out Americans. But then when you ask folks, we only started helping out the Ukrainians in February of 2022 when that war broke out. That's a new war. It hasn't been going on that long. Where are all of the folks talking about how much they used to do for the poor before we had to divert the money to the Ukraine? It wasn't happening. So the idea that if you bring the money home from the Ukraine, we can help out the poor, there's no record of that ever happening. We weren't doing it before the money went to the Ukraine. When Obama brought up universal health care, we weren't helping out the Ukrainians. There was no love in terms of giving universal health care to what American citizens. You're talking about helping out Americans. The overwhelming majority of people benefiting from universal health care would be Americans. There was a lot of resistance to that. Same thing with the tuition forgiveness. Same thing with a minimum wage increase. The overwhelming majority of people being helped by this stuff are Americans. So the idea that, well, let's stop giving money to the Ukraine, let's help out Americans, I don't see any evidence to suggest that people ever wanted to do that. Because a lot of the things that people are against happened before money was sent to the Ukraine. I think this is what folks would suggest. You're being sold wolf tickets. People are, okay, once you stop sending the money to the Ukraine and the money's back in America, they're just going to say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. There's no rainbow of coins at the end of the Ukrainian-Russian war. There's no assistance at the end of that shit. That's just being told to get you to go against helping them out. But then once it's over, we don't give handouts. We're going to go right back to that. Where do you get this stuff from? Who is lying to you? Go to Detroit and tell me how much, how much better it is living under Democrats. Well, let me just say this. Because we hear Democratic cities, crime, Democratic cities, he's pointing out Detroit. You can make either party look bad if you point out the worst of one party and the best of another party. Compare Chicago to Houston, or maybe somewhere in Florida, and Chicago looks awful. But there are plenty of well-run liberal areas. Boston, for instance, does very well. You don't hear the right bringing up Boston. You don't hear the right talking about the poverty in West Virginia. 8 of the poorest counties being in eastern Kentucky. That don't come up. In fact, when the right is criticizing parts of America, it's generally about crime. They don't talk about poverty much. Because the poorer areas, the poorest areas in America are in right-wing counties, right-wing areas. It's all right-wing stuff. Them rural towns, all of that red shit you see, them people are dirt poor. They may not have a lot of crime. They don't have a lot of food either. Doesn't come up. They don't bring that up. The poverty is in Republican areas. The crime is in Democratic areas. So you got to look at it both ways. Detroit is great, says Philip Robert. I don't know about that one. You think Detroit is great? I don't know about that one. And I know they're trying to, regentrify or whatever, some of the areas, but Detroit is great, huh? McDonald's is a step up job. Well, yeah, but here's the argument on this. You know, the minimum wage should not be $15 an hour because minimum wage was, it's meant for burger flippers, kids, not meant for them to own a house or to make a living off of. That would make sense if you didn't have full-grown adults with kids and adult responsibilities being paid minimum wage. If you want to suggest that minimum wage is meant for kids, teenagers, burger flippers, then only pay it to kids and burger flippers and folks like that. You got plenty of full-grown adults making less than $15 an hour. And under Biden, while we want to say Biden and his economy sucks, under Biden salaries have went up. Under the Trump administration, CNAs, teaching assistants, school bus drivers, janitors, these ain't jobs for kids. They were all making less than $15 an hour. Some of them still are now. Those aren't kids. That is the guy sweeping and cleaning the school at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's not a kid. It's a grown-ass man. And many of them make less than $15 an hour. In fact, anyone working off shifts, particularly that third shift from, midnight to 7 in the morning, that's not a kid. And plenty of folks in that position make less than $15 an hour. So the idea that minimum wage is only meant for burger flippers, then only give it to burger flippers, damn it. Then we would be on to something. But if you go from $7.50 an hour, which is the minimum wage in most of the Bible Belt South, up to the $15 an hour range where they want to raise it to, I can tell you for a fact, there's a lot of full-grown adults in that gap. There's a lot of paramedics is in that gap, or EMTs or whatever they want to call it. There's a lot of folks in that gap. Like I said, security guards are working. That's not a kid. That's not a teenager working security at 3 o'clock in the morning in somebody's warehouse that's getting $14 an hour. So, I think that's not being represented properly. And I see here is the better response. Timothy Lee in the comments said it best. Then don't take the job. That's a much better comment because that says we really don't give a damn about how much you're making. If you don't like this low-ass wage, go get something else. Meaning that somebody will receive that low-ass wage, and I don't care about them. That's the best way to say that. In other words, we don't care. You don't like it, move, go on somewhere else and let somebody else suffer it at that wage. But at the end of the day, there are going to be some Americans, full-grown adults working in this job. You just don't have to be one of them. That shows no love at all. I just want to tell you that. That shows no love at all. That doesn't help anybody out at all. That just basically says if you don't like being ripped off, you leave and let them find somebody else to rip off. But the rip off will continue. Wow. Look at in the comments, though. Then they'll complain they can't find help. I don't know what that means. No, it's not the government's job to provide a living wage for its citizens. And you really think the free market is going to do that? If it's not the government's job to provide a living wage for its citizens, remember the only reason you get overtime if you work more than 8 hours a day or 40 hours in a week is because the government stepped in. The corporations were never going to do that for you. You want to leave it up to the free market. We had that life in this country back in the 1920s when they were making kids go to fucking work every day. You take the government out of the picture. We've already got rid of unions. Now you want to remove the government oversight and just let the corporation make their own decisions. And somehow they're just going to be nice to everybody. When there is absolutely no history of them ever doing that before in the past. Wow. Wow. This is similar to what Trump was talking about. For every 3-letter organization he creates, he'll get rid of one. What did he say? For every 3-letter organization I create, I'll get rid of 2. Like the EPA or the CDC or every 3-letter organization, I'm talking about big government, was created because somebody was trying to fuck us all. Without the EPA, I'll just dump what I got in the nearest pond. Saves me money on getting rid of waste. Instead of hiring a expensive, hazardous waste crew, just dump it at 2 o'clock in the morning in the pond next to your house. It's cheaper that way. Without the EPA, without the CDC, I'll tell you this drug is great for diabetes, even though I know 2 years from now you're going to die of kidney failure. I won't tell you that part of it. I want to make my money without the CDC. If you get rid of the government, our country has shown that the people by themselves can't be trusted to do what's right. It's a capitalist country. Everybody want to make money. Nobody gives a damn if you die while they're trying to make the money. I mean, some of this stuff, it should be obvious. It's about making money. It's not about taking care of the people. It's about making money. We do need to be discussing what happens if Trump does win in November. He's already told you what he's going to do if he wins in November. So I don't think there's a lot to discuss. The only issue I say with Trump winning in November is people not wanting to take what Trump says as a genuine promise. I mean, Biden has told you if he wins what he's going to do. Trump has told you if he wins what he's going to do. Now, he may not be able to do this stuff, but damn it, they're going to try. Trump has talked about he could be up to the states to track the progress of pregnant women. Will he be able to do it? Will it happen? I don't know, but he's made it clear he's okay with it. Talked about giving the police immunity. Can he really do that? I don't know, but he said he's okay with it. Just like Biden talking about forgiving student loans. Can he actually do it? I don't know, but he's okay with it. So I take him at face value. I don't believe in it's out of context or that was a joke, or if you say it, you said it. You're going to be held to it. Vote for me, you ain't black. We don't talk about it's taken out of context. We hold Biden to it. Same for Trump. Looking in the comments, Labor Board reports salaries going down, not up. Where are you getting these lies? MSNBC. Burger flippers are making a hell of a lot more than they used to. Salaries are going up. Inflation is going up too, but salaries have went up, particularly for the people at the bottom. Not only am I saying it, the companies that make burgers are saying it. They're using it as an excuse for why they're raising the price of your food. Salaries are going up in some industries. It is going up. I mean, you don't have to believe it, but the companies themselves are even complaining about it. So it is going up. In fact, I would submit, just check how many areas have raised their minimum wage officially since Biden has been in office. Look at the states that have raised their minimum. It's all liberal areas. The Republican states have the same minimum wage now that they did when some of us 10, 15, 20 years younger. In the Bible Belt South, the minimum wage is $7.25 to $7.50. We could have been talking 10 years ago, and it was still the same. I wanted to certainly say thank you, Tim N, for that galaxy. Wow, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. Thank you, Tim N, as in Nancy. Appreciate that. Wow, thank you. But yeah, in the right areas, in the right-wing states, a lot of times they brag about the crime is not as high, but they don't brag about the salaries. They just don't. Why is Joe Biden using executive order to hide his tapes of the investigation? Well, for obvious reasons. He realizes that it's not going to be in his best interest. I mean, the guy said that the only reason they didn't prosecute Biden is because he's a senile old man. There is zero benefit to Biden to let those tapes be released. If you were advising Biden, you would tell him to do the same thing under those circumstances. I'm not saying it's right for the American people wanting transparency, but I'm saying I understand why it happened. I'm totally understanding that. The same reason why Trump didn't want to release his taxes. You know that once they get their hands on this information, they're going to scrutinize it, and the only goal is to make you look bad. That's what's going to happen if Biden's tapes get out. The only goal is to make him look bad. So it is what it is. Anyhow, let me try this one more time with the one and only, well, he's not in there. Here he is. Julio. Let me try it. There we go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
I'm having a sermon. What am I getting wrong?
Yeah, your compassion is getting in your way of reality.
Give me some examples.
When we start forgiving all of this student loan debt, mine hasn't been forgiven, which is fine. I pay it. Okay. I chose to go to school. I chose to make that. I should probably pay for that. Just like if I buy a house, I chose to buy that house. If I bought a car, I chose to buy that car. I can't ask the government to bail me out every time that something goes wrong.
Yeah, you can. With a lot of things you can declare bankruptcy.
No, listen, I'm not gonna, Tim, you can't. You just can't do shit in life and expect somebody else to pick it up for you. That's lazy. That's socialism. It's not okay. I mean, could I? Yes, physically, yes, I could say, I want you to pay it back. I can't afford to pay it. You pay it for me. Well, then you shouldn't have freaking done it.
So
what do you mean now he's a plumber? I've been a plumber 17 years, bud.
So in other words, if a person takes out a student loan, makes a bad decision, maybe takes it out in basket weaving or something, and it's going to put them in debt for the rest of their life because they made that bad decision, you're okay with that?
Do I think that schooling is overpriced? Absolutely.
That ain't what I'm asking you.
Did they know that going? Well, I know I got to finish. Did they know that going into school? If I go and I decide I want to be a doctor at the age of 18, I know I'm going to be in school for 8 to 12 years. Mm-hmm. That's going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, at that point, if you're educated, if people are educating you in your family and your friend group are educating you, you might decide not to be a doctor. You might decide to end up going into the trades, similar to what I did. I was going in for media and other stuff, got some student loans, did it for 3 years, got my degree, never once used it.
Okay.
But I still pay it back because it's something that I chose to do. Tim, I shouldn't want you yourself. Let's just make it one-on-one. I'm not going to make you yourself pay for my schooling because, I didn't finish. It was too expensive. I didn't realize how much debt I was going to get myself into.
But what if it's a situation where automation or something else has made that degree useless for that person, but they still owe a ton of money?
Do you gamble, Tim?
Sometimes, yeah.
Does the casino give you your money back if you didn't mean to play so much money?
No.
Does the casino give you money back if something happened and the game closed?
Generally, no.
Okay. So then why in the hell, if I decide to do something, should you be responsible? You yourself be responsible for me.
So in other words, the approach is no mercy. You in it, you in it.
It's not. It has nothing to do with mercy. It doesn't have nothing to do with compassion. It has to do with you made a choice. You have to live with that choice. You ever heard this?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
You made your bed, lay in it.
It doesn't have anything to do with compassion. It's about lack of compassion. You made your bed, lay in it is a statement that lacks compassion.
Exactly. I was saying what you were saying comes from compassion.
Yeah, what you're saying comes from lack of it.
From what I'm teaching you how to fish. I want you to learn how to fish. I'm not going to just give you freebies all the damn time. That's socialist. I don't want that.
I would be in favor of your teach me to fish comment if some folks were not trying to fish their whole life. Some of these student loans could last a person's entire life. If you're trying to fish because I taught you as opposed to giving you a fish, I'm not going to let you starve. At some point, I'm going to give you the fish if you can't ever catch one. You're okay with debt for life.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I'm okay with any of it. But what I'm saying is
you would let it happen.
I am definitely not okay with you taking care of my debt.
What's the if you will let a person who took out a bad student loan or one they can't afford deal with it for life? What's the difference between that and you being okay with it? You're basically saying I will allow it to happen.
Absolutely, they made a choice, Tim.
And you're okay with it.
It doesn't mean that I like that they're suffering. It sucks that their friend group. It sucks that their parents. It sucks that the people that were growing them, molding them. My daughter's going through it right now. She's in school. She come to me the other day. She was in tears. Dad, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
And see, your statement is perfect because it fits the definition earlier of one of the people in the comments saying I have empathy. Your statement, it sucks. You have empathy for somebody dealing with this. But at the end of the day, it means nothing to them. It does them no value at all. But your statement is a perfect example of empathy with no value.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what I said. It's empathy with, yeah, go ahead.
But what you're doing is you're giving me, what you're teaching me is that I can do the least amount and ask for the most and get it.
But why assume, and this also goes to my earlier statement about how I believe people on the right are critical or suspicious of the poor. Why assume that if you forgive my student loan debt, I'm going to view it as I can do the least amount? Why not view it as something positive? Why automatically have a negative view of that?
Experience. 45 years I've watched Americans piss their shit down their leg. I've watched my fellow Native Americans here in South Dakota piss their lives down their leg because they get handouts. They get free money. You know what they do with that free money? They go freaking down into Nebraska, into the White Clay area, and they buy alcohol because you can't buy alcohol on the reservation. They get the freaking free money that we get from a treaty, and they waste their fucking lives away, Tim. I'm tired of people wasting their fucking lives away, and the only way I'm going to get it done is the same thing that I do for my kids. My daughter that's whining about, I don't want to be a psychologist anymore. I think I want to get back into nursing. Okay, do it. But it's going to cost money. Then don't do it. But I want to do it. Then fucking do it.
All right.
You got to make a choice in your life at some point that you have got to take the reins yourself. I'm not going to drive you the whole time, and I sure as hell ain't driving, 100,000 strangers. Now, I've told you before, I am a generous person. I do reach out to the community. I've told you that. Don't give me that look.
It don't sound believable. That's why I'm looking like that. But go ahead.
Yes. Julio is native. I'm a half native. I'm a quarter native. I'm enrolled in the Sistan Wahpeton Sioux tribe. Check it. I'm from Mexican descent. I'm talking to this guy with this weird Debo or whatever. He's a native now. You're fucking people. They just talk sometimes, I feel.
Bro, I get it all the time.
Sometimes I feel like I talk just to talk too.
It happens. I get it as well.
What I'm getting at, because I don't want it to be an unproductive conversation, is that if the government is going to take care of student loans, okay, great. That just means my taxes are going to have to end up paying for that somewhere. So you're welcome to whoever's getting their student loans paid for. Mine haven't been, but for those who have, good for you. I'll pay for it. It's not a choice anymore. For those of you that want to learn how to build business, and for those of you that want to learn how to make life happen, you can look me up on TikTok Live. You can find me on Instagram too, same name, without the 3. I'll help you start a business. I'll teach you how to be a man if you're a man.
All right, Julio, I gotta.
If you want to live off the government, I will never look at you and call you a man. Sorry, I just won't.
Wow. All right, Julio, I appreciate you coming in. We disagree on every damn thing, but it's always a pleasure having you on.
Well, see, and that's what I like about it, is because you smile and you give me funny looks, and the people in the chat like to talk smack. I don't care. I love it. I enjoy it. It's like, well, you're showing me who you are because you have nothing intelligent to state, not you, your people in the comments.
I'm just going to say, though, like your opinion, which is quite common on the right, that's one of the reasons why I'm not religious anymore. Because to me, what you're saying, even though you want to teach that person a lesson, I don't hear Christianity in that at all. That's, I got mine. You need to find a way to get yours.
Okay, so Tim, let's just say that I make $250,000 profit a year. Okay. You want me to give 20% away? You give 20% away too. We'll just start doing it that way. You pick 20% of your money, and we'll pick people in your neighborhood, and we'll pick people in my neighborhood. You can help my neighborhood, I'll help yours.
But that's
when
not.
You're ready to, it's the same damn thing. If you're willing to do that, you're okay with them forgiving student loans because you're paying it in your taxes anyway, bud.
Okay, well, like I said, I hear what you're saying, but that's one of the reasons why I'm not Christian as much. That empathy with no value, I don't see that. When I was brought up religious, the Jesus I knew, his empathy also had value. This, I feel, thoughts and prayer stuff, that stuff's useless. That's one reason why I got out of religion, but I got to move it on, Julio.
Yes, sir. I know you do.
Appreciate it. All right, moving the program, and I see somebody in the comments, Tim Same, says, I can't pronounce that name, but yeah, I'm hearing this stuff, and it's useless. To me, it's literally like looking at the Last Supper, and there's a painting of it where Jesus is eating all the bread and looking at the other people who are starving. Maybe you could paint them as holding their stomach, mouth wide open in hunger, and Jesus saying, I have empathy for all of you folks. It's useless. It literally is useless. Empathy is useless. Like I said, it's very similar to thoughts and prayers. Knowing you ain't going to do a damn thing to make sure that the next person don't need your thoughts and prayers tomorrow. It's useless. Anyhow, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I appreciate you folks tuning in on the backup page. I will check and make sure the appeal went through on the main page. 1,300 hours Monday through Friday is when we're here. See you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Follow the program for you folks on TikTok. This is what we do, uncensored. You may not agree with a damn thing I said. Perhaps when you come on, I may not agree with a damn thing you say, but we do believe in free speech. We don't limit your conversation regardless of who disagrees with you. So if you enjoy that type of dialogue, follow the program. Catch you tomorrow. Same on YouTube. That is the way we run the program. Been ran that way since day one. We are MAGA friendly. Always have been, always will be. Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Catch you tomorrow.